Hello? Hello, can I have your divided attention, please? Hello? Hello? Hello, everyone. This is public comment. Oh, I'm sorry. We have our Assemblywoman, Maritza Davila. Please give us your divided attention. Thank you. Thank you, Maritza, for coming.
Well, I'm gonna keep it a little brief because I'm extremely tired. I got home from Albany last night, and then I went on to giving my son's college degree today. So I was very happy and excited about that. Thank you. So first of all, I'd like to thank all of you for being part of the community board and helping this young man come along. He's come a long way. And the rest of the executive board and Celeste, thank you so much. We have the best of the best, believe it or not. You know, we run into hard times, but when this community runs into hard times, you best to believe that we are coming out. We will be there. In terms of the state, we were able to pass a very, very robust budget. We didn't get quite everything we wanted, but we're hoping to go back in September to finish up. It's been kind of hard navigating a budget that every morning you wake up, all you see is the unexpected. We don't know where they're going to cut from next. You know, we had a $13 billion deficit, but we're going to do right by our state. We're going to continue to fight, and we're going to continue to I'm going to continue to represent this community as well as the other elected officials. And I want to reassure you that as long as we all work together, I think we'll be in a good place. This community has always fought through many, many, many battles, and we've stood up strong. This community lost 600. I'm sure Camacho has told you. We were both around at that time, and we lost a lot. And so now, if you see that we're a little overprotective, Anita as well was around. I don't mean to tell your age, Anita, because I saw that look. But we were here to see the devastation. And when that happens, you know how hard it is to bring it back. It takes over 25 to 30 years hitting those pavements and talking to other elected officials to try to get that money into this district. But look how beautiful and vibrant it is. It is the one place that everybody wants to come to in Brooklyn. We are the hottest thing in Brooklyn. Yeah, go ahead. Give yourself a big round of applause. We are the significance of a melting pot in Bushwick, because you walk down the block, you're going to see people of all colors, of all backgrounds, from around the world. So I'm very proud of that, because we didn't see that before. We wouldn't even see a yellow cab come down this way. So I'm gonna, if you have any questions for me, I'm here to answer any questions. If you need to go to my office is located at 673 Hart Street, 673 Hart Street. I have an open door policy. And I have great staff, thank God. My number is 443-1205. That's 718-443-1205. Thank you, Camacho.
Thank you. Thank you,
Question?
Assemblywoman, Marissa Davila. So,
Question?
anyone have any questions?
I have.
Okay.
Gentlemen, how are we responding to ICE? Is ICE in the neighborhood? Is ICE picking up people in our neighborhood?
ICE is a big.
Well, as you all know, ICE is controlled by the federal government. As a collective in the community, all elected officials with our Congresswoman Nydia Velasquez taking the lead, we have been able to give a lot of know your rights Zooms, and it's been very effective in terms of coming into our district, directly into our district. If they do come, they come extremely quietly, but I can't let you know exactly what's going on in our district in terms of how we're dealing with it. Just know that as soon as ICE is around the community, we know and we show up. We will not allow ICE to put fear into us. We will fight because, as you can see, this is nothing but fear mongering. It's a way to, get our brothers and sisters that are, immigrants and migrants, because I'm Puerto Rican. I'm a born Puerto Rican woman. I am a migrant. I am a migrant, and I take that extremely seriously. But what we are doing is mostly education so that people are aware. The schools are very prepared, as you may or may not be aware. They have, every school in our district has a lockdown system that if ICE comes, they are not getting into that building. They better produce. Yes, they are not coming into our schools. They better produce the right paperwork. And that gives us enough time to get our lawyers, and we have Make the Road right in our own backyard. We have CUF. We have the best agencies fighting along our side to be able to protect those people that can't protect themselves right now. Thank you.
Everyone else, please come up to the mic. Thank you.
Hi there. My question is about, we are one of the hottest neighborhoods and our landlords are getting away with murder on these overcharges. Are we doing anything about that? I have a 5-point program that I think would kind of solve that, including when they rent apartments to people, they should have to give them the rent history, because we're finding out 4 and 5 years later that we're being madly overcharged on rent stabilized apartments. I've been in court with my landlords for 7 years. They keep fighting the fact that they were found to be overcharging me. So I want to help other people. Can we hold some kind of program so people can know about this?
I have a housing background. I worked for Ridgewood Bushwick back then, which is Riseboro now. And we did a lot of advocacy. In my office, I have legal clinics every second Tuesday of the month. So anyone that has any housing questions or are afraid of getting evicted or have any legal paperwork, you go to my office and there will be lawyers there twice a month on a Tuesday. Okay?
What are the, so I can tell my neighbor, I'm fine, but my neighbors need to know.
Okay.
All day, or
That what?
what are the times?
Oh, I'm sorry. The times are from 9:30 to 4:00 in the afternoon. Sometimes they may be able to just go through the paperwork, my staff, and say, okay, you can wait and we'll give you an appointment because it's not urgent. But sometimes people do come in with eviction notices already, and the lawyers are right there to be able to give them that straight up advice and also take on their their cases. Okay, we work with Communities Resist.
Yeah. Good evening. My name is Eddie, and I have a question. I've been trying to seek relief for this little matter that we have on our block. The corner of Knickerbocker and Jefferson Street, there was a mailbox at one time. And for some strange reason, it got removed by the post office, being that mail theft and what have you. Now, I wrote letters to Nita Velasquez's office. I wrote letters to other political parties and what have you. And it's been almost a year and nothing has been done. I even brought another letter today, and I want to give it to you. See if I got any luck. But if I got right in the show.
It's okay, thank you.
And my take is that it's unfair that the elderly, the disabled, like myself, I'm a disabled vet, that have to walk all the way to Halsey Street to mail something or to Putnam to mail something under the weather conditions or, unnecessary walk when I used to have a mailbox right on the corner, right around the block from where I live. So my question to you, who do I call? Not the Ghostbusters, but who do I call?
Well, I mean, you live in Eric DeLon's district. But what I'm gonna do is give him a call myself and let him know that this is a concern for you. And I will forward this letter directly to him. I'm sure he must have a staff member somewhere here. I'm not sure. He may or may not. But he is your assemblyman. And yes, Nydia Velasquez deals with the federal government, and postal is federal government. I will also make sure that her office is aware of this.
I spoke to a gentleman by the name of Jonathan, if I recall correctly. And that was a while back, and we're still in the same predicament.
Well, I'm sorry. I will try my best.
Mhm.
Again,
Okay.
you're not in my district, but I take care of everybody.
All right, thank
Okay?
you.
All right, thank you.
And also, see if I'll get a copy and then we'll make sure that we'll send it to our district manager because we deal with the postal, to the postal master.
Hi, Virgie Jones, CB4. Good to see you. You look well. And good evening to everybody. I usually don't have much to say, but I have been waiting on the bus for 40 minutes on Broadway and Quincy Street. The B24, okay? When I put in my code, they tell me no buses en route. Okay? Had I known that, I would have walked back and took the 47. Okay? So then I go over to Gates. All right? And I have it all online. Then I go over to Gates and they tell me it's 352 buses 24 minutes away. Okay? So as I'm waiting, sitting there, I think about 15 minutes, guess what goes past? Hello? A B24 bus. So I said, I know I'm not crazy. And my technology has gotten better thanks to many of the staff members here and their patients. Okay? So I look and see, okay, so when is another 24 bus coming? And they tell me 24 minutes away and 44 minutes away. What the heck is going on? Okay? And to be on the positive side, And I'm gonna be very short. Okay, thank you. And thanks for hearing my frustration. But I'm here safely. Amen? Okay. All right. Thank you all. All right. Anyway, okay. The next thing is the post office. Okay. And thank you, Jonathan, and thank you, Congresswoman, right? Nydia Velasquez. They have been so effective with me when I go away. I put in my whole mail. The last time I went away, the supervisor asked me, give it to me personally, Virgie. I gave it to him personally. He says, after I waited 20 minutes in the line, okay? And I go close to 5 o'clock. Because my tolerance level was not very good these days. Right? And I bring my daily word, staying positive, encouraging. They know me, and I feel like a red line or something's next to it. But anyway, and I, Camacho, if I'm not finished in 2 minutes, please give me the. No. All right, okay. So I gave it to him. I says, no, you told me to give it to you. He's like, who are you? I said, I'm Miss Virgie Jones. He's like, oh. Where was my mail? Still not helped. When I came back, I gave them all of everything I gave. I gave it to Jonathan, likewise, whatever. The mail carrier was out sick for 2 days. The one that we had, and she was doing good. Long story short, she's like, Miss Jones, you have all this mail at the office, and they're holding it on my desk. I'm glad I gave her $20 for Christmas. All right. But to that end, thank you for listening. We're here. We work hard. We've been here a long time. This is not fair to us. It is not fair. Thank you for listening.
I understand, Virgie, and I feel your frustrations. I myself don't get my mail in my office for about 2 weeks later, invitations 2 weeks later. And I understand. One of the problems that the federal government is having right now is hiring. They have a hiring freeze. I think that's what's happening right now. I think after emails, the USPS just has become worse every day. Again, I would urge you to continue to work with Jonathan. And Nydia, she really cares about her constituents.
She does.
And she has. In terms of the buses, you might be living in an area that is not a busy route. But I am going, no, I'm saying
Okay.
you
Okay.
may. I don't know this bus route because again, it's not in my district. I know the 38, I know the 52, I know the
It's not in
60.
you?
No, it's not. That's not me.
Nurse.
That is Zinnerman.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Okay. So I
right.
heard the
That's
conversation.
Assemblywoman Stephanie Zinnerman.
Okay.
Okay.
I know her.
If you
Yeah,
let
I've
her
seen
know, I will come right along with her and pick the fight with her.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. The last thing, and I promise this is the last, Camacho and everybody, but I went to the one on I call it Schaefer Street, McDougal, whatever. So nice.
Yeah.
Decorated so beautiful. 2 lovely ladies work there. You're in, you're out. And I said to her, I was there the other day, I said, thank you. She's like, we're doing our job. I says, but down at the other end, she's like, we know, but I just want to give kudos where kudos are due. And Virgie is going to sit down for now.
Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Felix Ceballos, CB4. Thank you, Marisa, for the hard job you do for our community. We appreciate that. Go back to the I. The information what I know is everybody carry ID for defend themselves, and also the most information people can get is better. Thank you.
Thank you, Assemblywoman Dominic, for being here. Zachary Hendrickson, CB4. My question is about the New York for All Act, which I believe you're a supporter of. For those in the room who are not aware, we've been seeing ICE agents storm into courthouses, into schools, all these places that are not normally publicly accessible, despite being government buildings. There is a bill that has been kicking around in Albany for a few years now that would stop state and local agencies from collaborating with ICE, restrict the disclosure of sensitive information to ICE and Center for Border Patrol, stop local police from being deputized as ICE agents, and most importantly, prevent ICE from accessing non-public areas of government property like schools and courthouses without judicial warrants, which is a huge part of what we're seeing. There are a growing number of senators and assembly members who are calling on Kathy Hochul and the rest of the legislature to call for a special session to pass this because it's an emergency. And I'm wondering if you would commit to also calling for a special session to pass New York for All. I know you support it, so would you?
You answered you answered the question. I support the bill. I supported the bill from the moment it came out. And I think it's extremely important that we have not a sanctuary city, because you can't say that word anymore, but that our immigrant community is safe. And yes, not only have I called on to it, myself, other assembly members. I can't tell you when, but we may be going back to Albany soon.
Awesome. Thank you. Yeah, just to clarify, I was asking for a special session because they've gone home, so they would need to come back to pass this if they wanted to do
Right.
it.
So, yeah, we're talking about that now. Thank you.
Hi, good evening. How are you? My name is Vilma, and I am here with my neighbor and my sister, and we just have a couple of items that we wanted to address. The first one is my dad, 94 years of age, who resides at 124 George Street, which is between Wilson and Knickerbocker. So for the past 5 years, I have been calling 311 to inquire about tree pruning. To say, needless to say, I received notifications finally in January of 2025 for reports or requests that I have submitted for the past 5 years to say that the issue was closed. So my question is, what do we do? He's 94, he's asthmatic. The tree, which doesn't even belong, I mean, the tree is on the neighbor's side of the, like we split, the home is on this, the tree is on his side, but the branches are literally in his face. And so this poor man is now waking up every day with these enormous like bumps on his face. I don't know what to do. So I went online, I researched and found out that if I want to pay, but we can't afford it. That's number one. The second issue, so that my question is, what do we do now? The second concern that we have, and this is where I live, which is at 35 Knoll Street. And so we live between Bushwick and Stanwix, the rat situation. So we had an inspector who surprised us, and I received some sort of warning, and I'm thinking, why? Because I tried to keep it as clean as possible, but I can't control the rat situation. Then again, we have these buildings around us, as you know, which I call Studio 54, which is that new building that they built right between Stanwix and what's the other one? Evergreen. Then we have on Bushwick, we have 10 on Forest. All these individuals, when it's garbage day, bring out all their garbage and they just place it out on the street without placing them in bins. We have to put our garbage in bins to try to control the situation, but yet around us and our immediate surroundings, everyone's garbage is just laying around. So what's happening? An infestation that is beyond anything imaginable. So my neighbor went and took and did films, took videos, the burrowing. I couldn't even look at it. That's how disgusting that is. So how do we control the situation also? I don't know. I mean, we're receiving the notification, yet we are trying our best. But if others are not doing it, why should I be penalized? So I think if we have to put our garbage in bins, they should be enforced to do the same. Okay. The third thing, and I'll be very brief because this is the last one. Again, on 35 Knoll Street, we have a fire hydrant literally across from us. No one cares anymore. They park a car there every single day around the clock. Never towed, never ticketed, just sitting there. So, I mean, it's a great spot if you guys want to give some nice tickets. I mean, let's just go for it, right? But it's a problem. So those are my three issues for now.
Well, for now.
Mhm.
Well, I'm gonna answer one. We have the inspector here. We're gonna make sure that we get the coordinating officers to go up there and ticket that location. So he said, right? So we're gonna go there.
Thank
And
you.
we're gonna watch it at night. If it's not there, we're gonna get it towed.
Okay.
One. Two, in regards to the tree, if it's on private property, it's the other person's property, you can trim on your end. You know that, right? You can trim on your end, but you have to pay for it. It's
But
on you.
it's not private. It's the city block.
It's a city?
It's
So,
city block.
okay, so we'll see if we can send someone over there from the park department, because what happened was, I know they haven't done it because there was a problem with the contractor that they had before,
Mhm.
and they got rid of. So now they're taking them to court. So it's what you call on a waiting list. So we've been fighting that all along. So we don't know. I was told that there is a contract now, but we don't know if that's the time for the area to get pruned, because they
Got
pruned it X amount. So we'll find out. We'll give you the office number. Celeste De Leon is here, the district manager, and we'll find out and we'll take care of that problem. In regards to the rat, I know I got the same ticket you did, an advisory, because what happens is when the rat goes leave droppings, when they come
Exactly.
and they see that, put a flashlight and see the dropping, because if you take the rat course, we can give you a rat. You can join the Rat Academy course. They give them on Zoom, and it teaches you. Because once you see the rat dropping there and urine, then they're gonna come to the same place. If you clean it up and sweep it and clean it
It
and
doesn't
spray,
work.
they won't come. They'll go on another way and they'll hit somebody else. But the whole block has to be together. So we'll see if we include you in the Rat Academy, because it's intense. So we make sure that we'll help you out. So we'll get you the number to the office. You'll speak to Celeste. She's here and she's gonna fill you in some more info.
But then in regards to the neighboring buildings, which, you know, we live in private homes. And so the volume of garbage that they're bringing out, forget it, it's immense. So is there any way that they can be addressed to control the situation versus, because we're the little guy here. These are, you know, the.
I got it.
buildings-
We'll go out there and we'll send someone out there and we see your pictures and we'll submit it. and give
Okay.
it to her.
All right, thank you. Thank you very much. Oh.
Good evening. As a neighbor, I just wanted to say thank you for a wonderful year to all of you who are volunteers on the community board. I just wanted to take a moment to say that. Second, I wanted to just share the low-hanging fruit as far as the issues regarding tree pruning. I have the same problem. I've been reporting it, and the tree is now abutting. It's the two city streets that are abutting the siding of the house, where it's lifting the siding of our house. Okay. And despite all of the 311 complaints, the problem has not been addressed. I am aware of the city contract and the legal stop work order that the city had to engage with this contractor. The issue is that nothing is getting addressed. And I know that Verena from Woodbine, had been asking for tree pruning. I don't know when the last time Bushwick has had a tree pruning, but I can tell you it's been more than 10 years.
So I can speak to that. We have a map in the office. Thankfully, they were kind enough to give it to us last year. They do not provide it every year. We continue to have a good relationship with the borough commissioner, who tries to make sure we are as informed as possible. The parks operates on a 7-year cycle.
I'm aware.
And so depending on where you live in Bushwick, you may have had your trees pruned 2 years ago. You may have your trees pruned in 5 years. I have a map that's color coded. Anyone that would like to know where they are when the trees will be pruned can always call the office at 718-628-8400. We get calls like this frequently. The Parks Department has said, and we have a liaison specifically for street tree issues, if it is not a hazard or immediate threat, then they aren't going to respond to it as quickly. However, when you call 311, they have to send an inspector to evaluate the tree. And then they have criteria to determine if it's an immediate hazard that would prompt them to emergency prune the tree.
We haven't even received a letter acknowledging the 311 complaints. And the issue as far as these trees, these are brand new trees that were planted, I want to say 7, 8 years ago. So I know they have not pruned it in that period of time because they're new. And the block, as far as Bleecker Street, because we are a corner street, a corner home, none of those trees have been pruned. And the worst part is that they're ripping the tree branches down as people are passing by. That's eventually going to kill the tree. And it's brand new. And the tree cost today is $3,000 per tree, okay?
One solution, so there are, the Councilmember Sandy Nurse did fund a citizen pruner workshop. So there are folks in the community that are certified as citizen tree pruners. If you can reach the tree from wherever you're standing, then you can help prune that tree to avoid people just ripping them off. And so that's another way. Just contact our office. We may be able to help assist both with making sure that parks provide some type of response. No response is not good. That's
Right.
unacceptable.
Right.
If you're not getting a response from any agency when you call 311, that is why the community board is here. That is why our elected official offices is here for accountability. In terms of what we can actually do, if they aren't going to do it, we may be able to get a team of citizen pruners out there to help alleviate some of what's
But
immediately
that's only the street
from the
reach.
street. Yeah, street reach
This is
level.
beyond now because they've
Yeah.
ripped all the branches down that were at arm's length, right? So now we're talking about a tree canopy that's covering and hovering over the siding of the house. And it's dangerous now because it's going to start cracking our siding, basically.
Okay, Councilwoman, ex-Councilwoman, my Councilwoman still, you know. Once a councilman, always a councilwoman. So we're gonna address, I will address that and make sure that they take care of it, please. Thank
I
you.
appreciate it. And my last point, this is the higher reach. After much support from the community board, the police department, working with Assemblywoman Jennifer Rajkumar, we were able to close down the illegal dispensary on Central Avenue, only to find out that a couple of months later, they reopened with a new name. I just passed by there. I looked at the dispensary list from New York State. It's not listed as a legal dispensary. There's smoking inside, which is illegal. Not that I want them outside either. My corner home is becoming the hand-to-hand spot. If many of you are from Bushwick, you understand what hand-to-hand is. And so I am not interested in having what is Central Avenue become the heroin block. Because eventually that's what's going to happen because I see the heroin addicts outside that store. This is 330 Central Avenue. Assemblywoman, if you can reach out to Jennifer and Eric to have a team effort of calling upon what is the sheriff's office to shut this place down, 330 Central Avenue. This is the second store that opens up illegally and they continue to do so and everyone knows it.
We have it. We have also the inspector here, so he makes sure we're done
Thank
down
you.
and we'll send someone out.
Thank you. And thank you again for all your service, guys.
And before you go, when is my building gonna open?
So they're working on permits to open the C of O. This is the new building on Linden Street between Central and Wilson. And it's a passive house building, all electric. It's a mixed family, mostly seniors. This is one of our brand new buildings. We haven't seen brand new buildings in over 10 years. We have a second building that's going to go up on Melrose, I believe, right? The senior building with Los Ures on the Rheingold side. And so those will be the last two new buildings, but we are waiting for the buildings department to approve everything, waiting for applications to be finalized as far as the applicants who are going to be receiving keys. So stay tuned and push for a ribbon cutting because, you know, these days we need celebration.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That's what I'm saying. We need to see the ribbon cutting.
I will send the message.
And any other
I'll be super quick, y'all. It was just on the last point. I know that like tree prunings come up all the time, and everything Celeste said, yes, 100%. But I also just wanted to take a chance to plug that New York City is the middle of developing its first ever urban forest plan, which is a comprehensive vision for like what tree plantings and all that stuff would look like in New York City. There's been a lot of outreach work done, but obviously a lot of you are probably hearing about it for the first time, which means it's not enough. So I want to encourage everyone to go to urbanforestplan.nyc. There's a questionnaire. Every single like person that fills out a questionnaire, I guarantee you there are folks who are reading it and looking at it. So it's your chance to say what you want, what you don't want, the concerns you have, what issues you're seeing currently when it comes to the tree canopy, all those sorts of things. Please put that in because it's the first time that New York City is developing a comprehensive plan for what to do about this. So please make your voices heard.
I'm just bringing back some info because I was a little surprised. Everybody know that they're changing the paths to the Omnia, and they came to the office with people that are disabled or have a senior have a half card. Mine expires in December. So what happens here is that I have money still on this card, but when I use it to go from the train to the bus, it doesn't charge me because it's another bus ride, right? On this card, I can't use it in September. You can't do that no more. So they took away the half. Yes, I went from. That's right. For the transfer, you can't make a transfer. See, you didn't know that. I know that because I got caught up on it because I didn't have money on here, and I went to put money and I put it here, and they charged me a regular from the bus to the train. So that's how they beat the seniors. You know, it's a halfway fare, but if I go from the bus to the train, I pay another fare. What happened is not a transfer no more. So we want to find out for MTA what happened with it. It doesn't give you it charges you regular. Yes, it does. Yeah, and it also has a code on it. So yes, it does. So you got to remember, anyone that has a so we're gonna have to find out for MTA because they're taking away something that we had before. I also have my beautiful picture on there that is not on here. So if I lose my card, guess who's gonna use it? That's right. So they're trying to penny pinch our seniors and our people. So we want to make sure we will be calling MTA because they did a presentation to our office, but they didn't tell us, you know, the back end deal. So we want to make sure that everybody knows that when you use this card and you're getting a half from the bus to the thing, it doesn't work. You have to pay extra.
Please use,
So if anyone,
please use the microphone if you're going to speak.
yeah, and you can't see what you have or you don't have. So when you swipe it, you won't know because it won't tell you got to tap it. So that's also, and also they were double tapping and taking your money. If it was one tap, they were hitting you with twice with two fares. So you have to be careful. And bus and train. They didn't charge you another fare? Yes,
They're not.
Okay.
They're not.
I just want,
Hello.
I was at a union meeting last week and MTA recently published new pamphlets with up to date for the Omni. When it first came out, it would not allow you to if yours ran out, you wouldn't know that it was running out. Now they're giving you the option of establishing an Omni account. If you establish an Omni account, you can put as much money, and when your Omni is running out, you say when it gets to $5, add $20 to it. So that's something new. But the point that I'm making, they published some new pamphlets that we got at the union meeting last week.
but they don't go transfer, you don't get a transfer.
Yeah, you
It's a
do.
regular. I
Yeah,
didn't even got mine.
get the account. I'll tell you later.
There we go. Thank you, thank you. All right, we will follow up with the MTA. You should be getting a transfer through Omni.
I wanted to say something else about that. We need to make sure that there are Omni machines in every single subway station too, because people are running out and then they can't put anything on it because you don't have the Omni machines.
Hey everyone, my name is Elaine Hamilton. I'm a longtime Bushwick resident here since the early 80s. I don't want to age myself, do the math. And I'm a mother of two amazing adults. Anita here knows them. They used to go to her daycare eons ago, so thank you, Anita. I started out living on Jefferson and Knickerbocker for many years, right? And then living on Cooper Street between Evergreen and Central, and currently at Palmetto Street. I'd like to, I had two questions for you, Señora Nidia Velasquez. And before I say that, Lavila. Gracias por la corrección, Davila. Eso yo lo sé, you know this. So, really quickly, I will be away, Celeste. I have to send you this email as a reminder. From the 25th of June until July 12th, I'll be in Morocco for a study abroad CUNY program for international business, studying cultural communications, right? And then I'm looking forward to bringing back whatever I learned from over there that, you know, can help us here in the community. So one of the questions that I had is in reference to post-pandemic as far as businesses are concerned, right? When it comes to entrepreneurs, especially women, right? What kind of programs, federal programs and things of that nature, especially the fact that you just came from a huge budget meeting, what can you speak on? You know, what do we have to offer and things like that? Also, on Palmetto Street, where I live on Palmetto Street, and quite a few other areas like Gates and things of that nature, are police team that's here. They're familiar with this. They've done an amazing work with cleaning up, right? We've had a lot of issues with unhoused people, right? And these unhoused people, unfortunately, are shooting up. They're leaving needles all over the place. We come out of our homes and we have seniors and little kids in our homes, right? And a lot of the neighbors, both tenants and homeowners, are complaining all of the time, including myself. You know, you come out of your house to go to work or wherever you're going, and you're walking over needles. And you have to stop what you're doing, clean everything up. It's really scary to go through our garbage, right, on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, because you never know what you're going to come across, right? So what are we doing in reference to our unhoused and, you know, again, these people are taking a lot of drugs and things like that. What kind of services do we have? What's coming down the pipeline to support them in this area?
Well, thank you. So to answer your first question, I don't know if people are aware of this, but I'm also the chair of the Brooklyn delegation. And yeah, it's a lot of work, but that gives me the advantage to work very closely with the oh God, I'm a little tired. Brooklyn Chamber of Commerce. I can give you that information in terms of how they can help you if you are starting a business. We've helped plenty of people in this district start their businesses. They have small grants, but also we put in millions of dollars into MWBE. And that is very important when it comes to minority women-owned businesses. All right. So I would urge you to go and research MWBE, the state. Yes. In terms of the problems that we're having with heroin, I live in the middle of Bushwick. I've always lived in Bushwick. We've seen this before, and it looks like it's coming right back. It's coming right back, and it saddens me because treatment is very different right now. If you try to put someone in a treatment facility, they can actually go back high. Okay? For me, it's more like trying to get them out of the street and keeping them in a safe environment. But unfortunately, when summertime comes, they want to be in the street. It's very hard to convince someone to get treatment. But we do have two organizations that I work very closely with. One of them is the START program that's located on Jefferson Street and Myrtle Avenue. A lot of people see it as a methadone program, but they're more than that. They have been able to now facilitate 2 mobile units. And wherever they see a heavy concentration of drug use, they will mobilize. They will go there. They will talk to them. They will convince them. If they have to go every day, they will. Our deputy inspector, he knows the START program very well because the officers work with them very well. You cannot arrest a person for, and I'm not sure what the law in terms of someone ingesting drugs, but you cannot arrest them because they're high, right? But however, there are rules to it. Can't be next to a school, right? If they are near a school,
I was just
they
gonna-
can get arrested. Okay, because now we're talking about kids. It is a very, very tough situation to tackle now. But I would tell you, back in the days, the way I handled it as a community organizer, we built block associations. We took care of our own problems. We went out and the blocks stuck together. And you know what? We were not disrespectful. We were like, you cannot do this on this block. We have children, so please respect. Oftentimes they do listen because they're afraid of getting arrested, right? So I would urge you, and I wanna make a real like call for action because it's not only for drugs. We're talking about immigration. We're talking about ICE. We need to start organizing our block associations again. We cannot be everywhere all the time. The police department cannot be there all the time. But if you stick together, people will get the message. Don't go in that block. There's a problem in there. We're going to have issues. So I would urge you to do that. After the meeting, if you'd like to talk to me, I will get the program to go out to that block. You said Central and Palmetto, right?
Thank you so much. It's Palmetto between Irving and Myrtle. You know where the Kentucky Fried Chicken is?
Oh, yes.
The bus stops there.
desolate. It's a desolate
Yeah.
block, right?
When they
There's not
move
some-
there, and 100%, when they move from there, and thank you again, all of you, right? They go to Gates. If they're not there, it's like they do a ping pong.
Let me
effect.
tell you why they do that. I'm going to tell you why.
Mhm.
Because when they cross the street to Myrtle Avenue on the other side, is the 104 precinct.
That's
And when they come on this side, is the 83rd precinct.
they know
We
science
have
behind that.
something for that too. That
Mhm.
means getting both precincts to work together.
Thank you.
Okay?
Thank you. I will be speaking with you after. I'd like to say in reference to the Block Association, we're in the process. I'm starting that up for our block, a block association. However, I'm still in the beginnings, trying to figure it out. So I'm not sure if there's anybody here who has experience on how to start a block association. I would love some information on that. We're looking to do our first block party in August. So thank you again.
Please
for being
invite
here.
me. I would love to go and say hello.
Sure.
All right. So I don't see any hands on Zoom. It seems as though our assembly members' remarks and our public hearing item have fused together this evening. So this is the last call for both. Any other comments or questions for the Assemblywoman before we wrap up our public hearing item? Go ahead. So yeah, let's thank the Assemblywoman first since we're moving into announcements. Thank you so much for being here. Yes, and that's a yes, Lacey. I would suggest and encourage all elected officials and reps that have yet to speak to make your announcements now. Anyone making an announcement, I have a strong feeling it will be removed from the regular meeting agenda due to this evening's potluck. I cannot make that determination myself, but I would encourage you to make your comments now. Please line up. No, that's not a motion. Please line up in front. Thank you for the support, though. All right.
All right, hey everybody, Lacey Talbert from the Office of Brooklyn Borough President Reynoso. Just a few quick announcements. We have sorry, I didn't get to print this time. We have a call for applications open for our Youth Advisory Council. So this is for high school sophomores, juniors, and seniors to join a cohort of students, and then they would be working with a group of their peers over the next school year to address issues that affect young people and make recommendations to our office and kind of lead their own service project. So that application is open until June 25th. We're also doing an open call for Brooklyn fashion designers. We just launched our Arts Ambassador program with Kid Super, who I had never heard of, but maybe you're cool enough to know who that is. The selected designers will each receive a $5,000 grant, advice from Kid Super, and the opportunity to show 5 full looks at a full-service fashion show at Brooklyn Borough Hall this fall. So that application is open until July 6th. On Friday, the BP is sponsoring an event called A Song for Life and Lay the Guns Down. It's a tribute concert for dedicated to survivors and victims of gun violence. That's at Borough Hall from 12 to 5. And on the 21st, the BP and Good Co Bike Club are doing a freedom ride in honor of Juneteenth. Starts at 10 a.m. at the Brooklyn Museum. That sounds really fun. And then on June 30th, join us to celebrate Caribbean American Heritage Month at the Brooklyn Children's Museum. The celebration will be from 5 to 9. And I didn't get to bring flyers for all those things, so you can check that out on our website, brooklynbp.nyc.gov. Also, I noticed there's a lot of new members here that weren't here last time, so come say hi. I really want to meet you in person.
Hello, everyone. Christopher Graham, CB4. Thank you for everybody for coming out. So if you guys remember sometime last year, we put in a request to have the street naming of Eldridge Street between Wilson and Knickerbocker named after Oshman Long. So I'm happy to announce that that has been passed. So that will, thank you so much. And so that will take place July 12th, and that is Eldridge Street between Wilson and Knickerbocker. So if you are around, please come out and share with the family this occasion. Thank you so much. The time is 1 o'clock. 1 o'clock. So that's Eldridge Street between Wilson and Knickerbocker, 1 o'clock, the celebration of the street co-naming of Oshman Long. Thank you so much. July 12th. And y'all can clap for that.
Hi, my name is Matt. I'm CB4 15 years now. So we watched a building go up maybe like 2 years ago. It's one of these luxury apartments with astronomical rents, and obviously it can be a problem for the community. But my wife and I found out that it's got community board zoned community space. So we approached the landlord and we talked to them. If there's anyone here who's interested in that, we're very interested in keeping that alive and making sure that's really maintained, because it's probably not often maintained in some of these new buildings that are going up. Anyways, originalgeorgestudios.com. We're working to try and make this a community space. There's a gallery, there's event space. You can find out more by talking to us. And there's also studio space for small businesses that are pretty affordable. And again, originalgeorgestudios.com. And hopefully you can come and join us and throw community events there. That's what we're looking to make happen.
What's the address?
87 George.
Thank you.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, it's important. Original George Studios, originalgeorgestudios.com.
I'm back again. Hi, everybody. We were talking about ICE earlier. One of the most important things you can do is know your rights when it comes to ICE and what to do when interacting with ICE enforcement. So New York City DSA is hosting a Know Your Rights training on June 30th at 7 p.m. Unfortunately, it is not in Bushwick. It is at 14 Jefferson Street in Manhattan, which is our office. But it's also going to be on Zoom. So if you're interested in attending virtually, you can connect with me. I can get you that information. But anyone who wants to sign up, the website to sign up is bit.ly/ and then all caps KYR June 30th. So I can write that down. I'm sorry I don't have flyers. It's a digital sort of thing, but that's one thing. And then very quickly, I was told by a fellow board member that I should say ranked choice voting. Early voting is happening now, so please make sure to get your vote in. It's really, really critical that everyone votes. And if you're not aware of how ranked choice voting works, very quickly, you can rank up to 5 people. Please use all 5 slots on your ballot, because last time when this happened in 2021, nearly 140,000 ballots were exhausted at the end, which meant that they essentially did not get counted in the final determination between Catherine Garcia and Eric Adams. So if you're not filling out all 5 slots on your ballot, there is a chance that your candidate gets exhausted and then your vote essentially doesn't count towards the final thing. That's not exactly it, but it is important that you rank all 5 slots if you want to make sure your ballot has the maximum voting potential. So that's all I wanted to say there. And election is June 24th. I was just asked to explain. Sorry. I was trying to be very quick about it. On the ballot, where New York City now uses ranked choice voting, which means you don't have to choose just one candidate. Last time we did this was in 2021 for the mayoral election. This also applies for city council. So if you have multiple city council candidates, you can do the same thing. That basically means you could say, I want candidate A to be my first choice. I want candidate B to be my second choice, candidate C, so on and so on. But what that means is, because the way the voting works is, if no one in the first round of voting has over 50%, then they look at the lowest people, like the people with the lowest number of votes, they get eliminated. And then they look at whoever said, I want that person number 1. They're going to look at all of those people's second choice, and they're going to split up those votes to all the people who are still in the race. So you can see, right, if you only rank one person and then that person gets eliminated, then you don't have a vote to go anywhere else. So what that means is you want to make sure you fill out all 5 slots on your ballot if possible, because that's the best chance to make sure that your vote goes the farthest. However, if it's somebody who you absolutely do not think should be mayor, don't put them on, because there is a chance that it might get down to that. So I'm not saying who or what or whatever, but I am saying rank every person who you think would be acceptable and put them in order of who you like the most to the least. I've been watching all those videos.
You know, sometimes a good explanation goes a long way. Good afternoon. Danielle Chambers, and it's always a pleasure to see all of you. My hat's off to our elected officials, of course, and to our board, who does a fabulous job every day. So I'm here representing Calvary and St. Cyprian's Episcopal Church. Many of you are familiar with me. This announcement is for the future, but I did bring flyers, so you'll have them to take with you. We have our annual health fair that is coming up Saturday, September the 13th, and we are looking for vendors who are interested in showing their wares. And you can always come to me after the meeting and we can share some additional information. But I did bring a flyer that has a lot of good information. And every year we have a lot of fun. We have puppets, we have food, we have dancers. We always have a lot of good health, mobile units that participate, that are very good, and they are helpful. We're there all day. It starts at 9 o'clock through 3, from 9 to 3. We are at 966 Bushwick Avenue. And don't be intimidated by the construction. Find a way, get together, do carpooling, because parking does not exist. But We're in the middle, 966. We got a building on both sides of us hugging us tight. So please, though, the health center is important. There are a lot of things that people need information about, and we're here to help. Okay. Thank you all. Have a good summer. September the 13th. Okay. Thank you.
Hi, everybody. Oh, a little loud. Hi, everybody. Joe from Friends of Irving Square Park here. A few announcements to make. I'm going to try to roll them all into one theme. The main announcement, or the parent announcement of these child announcements, is that we received a small grant, $2,500, via the City Parks Foundation in partnership for parks, which is enabling us to do a lot of new programming in the park this year. We're having free yoga and fitness events once a month throughout the summer. I can share those dates later. We're able to participate in Bushwick Family Day, which is going to be July 19th. Free food, free music. Come out to the park on July 19th. It is the most fun day of the year in Irving Square Park, organized by a lot of families in Bushwick. So that's July 19th. It's a Saturday. It's really awesome. And the last thing I want to mention is that we are putting together a large community mural painting event in the park for the fall. We are asking local businesses, local organizations, nonprofits, a block association, any type of group that you might be part of, if you would like to participate and help paint and decorate a bunch of murals that will line the park, ideally for 6 months, right? We have them up on the fences. Come and talk to me. I'll be here all night. And it's going to be a really fun day in the fall of painting these murals, designing. And we have students from Achievement First who are going to be kind of design consultants. And it's going to be a big representation of all of the community organizations and people that make up our park. So please come talk to me if you have a group or anybody is interested in participating. I'd happily tell you more. And I'll see you at the park.
Hi, good evening, everyone. My name is Louisa. I work at the DeKalb branch of Brooklyn Public Library on DeKalb and Bushwick Ave. We've got a lot going on, but I wanted to announce that our garden area, which is between us and the school next door, is open for the first time maybe in a couple decades. We're really excited. So that's really exciting. Our first kind of big event is this Saturday, part of Make Music NYC, where there's going to be free music across the city. At 1:30, we're going to have Amelia Matamoros, who's an Ecuadorian singer, performing in the garden. So please come out, enjoy the music, and enjoy the garden as well. We'd love to see you. Thanks. And I have flyers that are on the side.
Hi, I'm Pablo Rivera. I'm Community Board 4 member and also Chairman of Bushwick Sports and Recreation. Just want to remind everybody, T-Mobile and Little League International, which we are chartered with, is going to have their first home run derby at Hope Park, and this Saturday, starting at 11. So it'd be nice if you guys, it's going to be a nice day. You guys could go out and cheer the local kids, right? And these kids, the winners, will get to advance to the next step of the competition. So be pretty nice to see everybody out there. Okay? Thank you.
We have one person. Oh, we have a few hands on Zoom. Go ahead, Maria, followed by Jack.
Hi, good evening, everyone. My name is Maria Valdez from the Office of Senator Julia Salazar. Message from the senator to let you know that she fought hard to ensure that state budget included some of the great benefits for the District 18, such as building and protecting more affordable housing, making childcare lower cost and more accessible, also increasing unemployment benefits, increasing the state budget for New York City schools. She also wanted to let the community know that she is in support of the immigrant community and that she will continue to work hard for all New Yorkers and that she will continue to fight for the bills that she has introduced and co-sponsor, such as New York for All and Dignity Not Detention, to stop the state of New York from collaborating with ICE. The state should not be protecting New Yorkers not not assisting ICE in adopt rent. I will also like to remind everyone that we have tenant support services the first Tuesday of every month. It will be at our office, 212 Evergreen Avenue, from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. And if anyone has an issue with the state agency, you can also reach out to our office by calling at 718-573-1726. Thank you.
Thank you. Jack?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Great, thank you. This is my first time addressing Community Board 4. I did send a text. I wasn't sure if I would be able to speak, but I see I am able to. But if I could read the text that I sent, I just want to thank the district manager, Celestina Leon, for allowing me to comment. My name is Jack Latore. I'm retired NYPD lieutenant. I'm representing the Organization of New York City Public Service Retirees. I also wish to thank your Community Board Committee, the Health, Human Services, Senior Citizens, and Veterans Committee for supporting our request for the support from CB4. I'm proud to say I'm a veteran, but I'm also proud to say I'm a senior citizen, and I'm able to address you this evening. This letter of support is going to basically ask Mayor Adams to kindly stop forcing New York City public service retirees into an inferior Aetna Medicare Advantage plan. We want to preserve our traditional Medicare. Your support is more important than ever as the New York State of Appeals has ruled against the retirees. What we need to do, we're trying to get all of the council representatives, the city council members, to override Mayor Adams. We don't want him to force us into an inferior plan. We are the senior citizens that basically built the city. We showed up after 9/11, we showed up for hurricanes. I don't have to tell you, I'm sure you have many friends, perhaps some folks in the audience work for the city of New York. When we joined the city of New York, we were promised certain things. One of the things they told me and all of us was that you're not going to get rich working for the city, but you'll get a decent pension and you'll have decent health care. Right now, the city is trying to change that. They're trying to put us in an inferior Medicare plan. So I want to thank everyone for the opportunity to speak. I very much appreciate your support. And as I always end my talks, please get home safe. Thank you.
Yes, and thank you. I think that would be part of our recommendation to make sure that this board does support, because I am a retiree and I am a senior and I work for NYCHA and I wasn't getting rich at all because I'm still poor. And I want to make sure that I have my benefits to take care of myself, because when I worked for the city, I broke my lumbar spine, my cervical spine, and I was 3 weeks in the hospital. So I did what I had to do, and they need to take care of me because I worked for them. So thank you, and we'll make sure that the boards can follow up, and we'll put a vote on this at the end to give a recommendation, and tell our mayor not to cut our health benefits that we are entitled to when we make contract negotiations. So thank you.
Thank you.
All right, I don't see anything else on Zoom and no one else in person. Thank you, everyone, for this public hearing session. We are now wrapping this up. It is 7:18, and we're going to go right into our regular meeting agenda, starting with our first roll call. Can someone pass me the attendance sheet? Thank you.
All board members, please sign in. And Please take, board members, please take one of these. Please hand them out. I think they brought enough for everyone. There's going to be a letter of the people that for the.
Board members, please be ready. Isa Abni, Stephanie Anderson, Tiani Belliard, Joanna Bennett, Robert Camacho, Tevin Campbell, Felix Ceballos, Andrew Choi, Elvina Davis, Freddie Fowler, Joanna Fuentes Singh, Alan Gamboa, Jason
Hi,
Garrett.
Celeste. This is Andrew Choi. I'm present. Sorry.
All right, folks on Zoom, I am marking whether you're absent or present. I'm gonna have to make edits on this form if you do not answer right away. So please, if you're listening to the meeting, be ready when I call your name. Otherwise, you will be marked absent. One moment, let me just make that correction.
Sorry,
All
I
right.
wasn't a panelist.
All right, Christopher Graham, Ann Guiney, Elaine Hamilton,
Present.
Zachary Hendrickson, Courtney Henley, Deborah Hicks,
Yep.
Tanisha Honeygan,
Present.
Barbara Jackson. Gotcha, Barbara. Thank you. Virgie Jones, Tara Jones Thomas, Luisa Jose, Giovanni Justiniano. Gio, I saw you. I don't hear you now. Nancy Keith. Cindy LeBron is excused. Christine Malden. Freddie Madison. Alex Moreno is excused. Romika Nichols Barnes. Zuma Navoa. Cirilo Nunez. Yerenson Ortiz Guzman. Laura Ranzado. Shrey Richardson.
Here.
Pablo Rivera. Raul Rubio. Eliseo Ruiz was asked to be excused. He was here. Josue Salazar. Milagro Sandoval. Juan Serra is absent, although notified the district office in advance. Annette Spellin. B. Spiderman. James Stewart. Savannah Tai. Christian Tate. Ben Tucker. Jerry Valentine. Linda Whitfield. Forty-one board members are present. That constitutes a quorum. Thank you, everyone. A record. Also, give yourselves a round of applause.
Thank you, guys, for coming.
All right. Next up, we have acceptance of the agenda. Is there a motion to accept the agenda or to change the agenda? Just putting it out there. Unless you want announcements again later, you may want to.
Just the agenda to remove announcements from the end.
Is there a second for that? Oh, okay, Zach Henderson, just saying, thank you both. All in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions? So moved. Bye-bye announcements later. All right. Now, is there a motion to accept the agenda with that amendment? Zach? Okay, Zach Hendrickson made the motion. Alvina Davis seconds. All in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions? So moved. All right. Agenda item number 3, acceptance of the previous meeting minutes. Is there a motion? Second, second by Felix Ceballos first. Okay. All in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions? So moved. And agenda item number 4, Mr. Camacho, our chairperson's report.
Thank you, people, for coming out and supporting this community. On Thursday, June 22nd at 4 p.m., I joined in the IBZ meeting on Zoom. On June 23rd, Friday at 12:30, a meeting with Riseboro and staff and our district manager. She's also that same day. I had a meeting at 422 Central with Hope Garden and the TA president because part of their RFP requirement is that they, through DYCD, is that they have to have youth and kids from within the development. So they're trying to recruit more kids in NYCHA instead of them being out there in 422 Central. So we're working with them. On Tuesday, June 27th, we had CB4 Economic Development. On the 29th, District Service Cabinet meeting. Also, we had the Shape Up Bushwick Committee meeting, and thank you, people. It was a wonderful day on Shape Up Bushwick. I know our committee chair will speak in regards. That's why I don't want to get into it. I don't want to blow his time. Also, we had permits and license on June 10th. I know May 31st between 12 and 3. I went out with Cuff. They did their ribbon cutting ceremony on Star Street. They have a new building right next to the roller skating ring. I also went to the Busher Collective, and thank you, A3 Precinct, for doing a great job on that area because that was really packed, whoever was there. On Tuesday, June 3rd at 12, I had a meeting with El Puente, the People's Money. They were supposed to be here and bring some more, but they were out. So they're out there getting those votes on in regards to the People's Money. That same day at 6 p.m., I was at the Borough Board meeting. And at the Borough Board meeting, we had on the agenda, which was Broadway Junction, the revitalization of Broadway Junction. A lot of people were a little upset because they're going to move the Transit 33, which is the transit building, to another building. But guess what? That building don't have parking, for sure. So the officers, and there's only 4 parking spaces. So guess who's going to have the 4 parking spaces? The bosses. So the employee going to go around looking for parking and taking the parking from the people in the area. So we told them, I'm not part of that because I don't live in that area in East New York, but we share next to. So I made a big thing about it. So I guess they're going to find out when we know that transit has empty lots on that area there, in that industrial area in the back by Atlantic. So hopefully they'll listen to the community, and the stakeholders that were there also had something. They're also revitalizing the borough board's bylaw. It hasn't been done since I'm going to tell you right now, I have the old one here. There is a copy since 2007, and we're going to revise it now. I have a copy of what they want to revise here. Celeste is gonna fill us in because we have to, under the city charter, we gotta hold on to it and read them for 2 or 3 meetings. And if any correction needs to be done, then they have to do correction. We did have quorum first time, but we did have quorum, thank God. I also went June 4th, Wednesday, PS 376, had a stream expo. You should have been there. It was great. We had these kids doing what do you call that? Chips and games in the computer. They built their own game. It was really intense. I went there and you could see these kids breaking it down to me. I didn't know a clue about computers. They did a computer, they put the chip, they made their games, they showed us in the computer how they played. Yo, it was, I couldn't believe what these kids can do, man. I was totally shocked. I went in there, oh yeah, how you do? Man, these kids can build anything. I couldn't believe it. With a battery and some chips and some stuff, and they had their computer, they had a monitor, and they were showing how this ball went in this thing. I was like, wow, what they can do. When you went in there, it looked like you was going into a disco. Because when you went into the hallway, they had lights and things and a runaway. I was like, wow, I can dance in here. And it was so funny. It was really nice. The kids did a wonderful job. I wish that they could come and do a presentation here with some of the stuff where you guys can see. And they were telling us and really showing us. I have a pamphlet on what they were doing on the second floor, and how they were building the chips and the robots. It was incredible, man. It was good. Some of those kids are going to be major scientists, man. It was great. I was shocked to see them, and it was great for them to do this thing on that expo. That day, me and Celeste went to Gotham Health, 815 Broadway. She'll fill you in. They had pictures of everything, some of the gala that they had there on there, and it was great. On Friday the 16th, between 12 and 1, we met with the Councilwoman Jennifer Gutierrez in regards to and our chair from House and Land Use with land use. So we're trying to see what we can do to get more affordable housing. We're working with our elected official. As you know, June 8th Sunday was the Puerto Rican Day Parade. I guess some people filled in on what was going on. I know I got hundreds of video after the parade. I just want to say that's not who we are. I am born in Puerto Rico. I came here when I was a month old, and my grandmother, that's not what we do. That's not who we are. So whoever you seen out there and what the ruckus that was going on, that's not, I know that's not how we are. I know when I did the parade over 3 years, I did it consent. It wasn't like that, because some of the videos I saw was constantly fighting, cursing, and it was. So I know we got some of the videos. Celeste got some. A lot of people can't read it. I know people are writing letters. So we'll fill you in on what's next or what's going to happen. So we really need to, all of us here in this community board really need to find out, after the fact. Because if we hold clubs and bars responsible after the venue ends, then we need to hold people too after their venue ends to make sure or educate them that 12 o'clock is a deadline, not 3, 4 in the morning. Because I know that our inspector was out there all day and I was out there, so I know he'll be speaking on some of the things, so we're not going to get into it. And now on Thursday, Tuesday, I was at the 10th, June 10th at Permits and License. They'll fill you in. On Wednesday, the 11th at 10:30, we had the District Service Cabinet meeting. That same day at 6 p.m., there was I know a lot of people know that there was a protest in front of the A3 precinct. I know I got wind of it. I was out there all day supporting our officers. And if the people officers do what was on there, guess what? There's a process they got to go through. And things got to be what they have to be. You know, if it is, I know that there were videos that they took, the people that were there, because of the parade, the nightlight activity. We know that there were cameras, officers wear, and we also know the truth. I was there. Half the time I was there. So when you have an establishment that has 250 people, and we get 150 311s and 911 call, I just hope our elected officials, you know, before they did that press release, that they'll be on no sides until something happens. Because I know for a fact when I was in that other protest that they were, I'm not going to get into it because I know there's a picture out there of the individual that burnt the car from the precinct at DeKalb that burnt down all 12 cars. That gentleman was there at the protest in Maria Hernandez Plaza. So, and I witnessed it because I had a confrontation with this man. So when I saw the news today and saw his picture, I let the inspector know that he was at the parade. And everybody that was there identified that he was at that parade. He was at the protest, at the protest in Knickerbocker Plaza. So, you know that sometimes we have people that come to this community and do things, it doesn't reflect who we are. I have been here all my life. And I have seen Bushwick burn in 77 and in 74. And there was nothing here but burn. I can show you pictures of me playing as a kid in rocks. There was no building, the Hope Garden, before Hope Garden was built in 83. So seeing that fire with those cars brought me a lot of tears because they wasn't thinking about the people that are adjacent to those buildings. And it's kind of disheartening. Imagine that whole block would have burnt down. What would we have said now if they would have lost their house? But I know who would have run there to go get it? The developers, because you won't be living there. So we really, really have to work close with each other. Stop this rhetoric, man. This world is going crazy. We really need to stop this and start working together, regardless of who you are. Whether you like bike lanes, cars, your dietary food, no food, we got to stop this. We're all in the same boat. And we really need to work together, all of it. Whether you pay $5,000 or $100 rent, doesn't make a difference. You're here. So we got to get together and stop this. Regardless, if you see something going on and there's a protest, and then people that don't have the same philosophy, haven't been here all their lives and don't know what we went through, we really need to slow it down. If they have problems with the cops, there's a council, there's a community board, there's CCRB. We can educate you and find out. Because I'm going to tell you a story. I was an auxiliary sergeant in the A3 precinct. I went to the 104 precinct to pick up my kid after I came out from I was 23 years old, doing a tour. An officer stopped me on the corner of Myrtle Avenue and Woodbine. He threw me against the wall. I also told them that I was an auxiliary. I came for and showed him my shield, and he collared me. Took my shield, threw it away, collared me, took me to the 104 precinct. I got a summons for disorderly conduct. I don't know for what I done. I went to my councilwoman. She's right there. Diana Rayner. She gave me a letter of support. I took it to the judge. I showed him who I was. I told him what I did. I told him where I was. I came from the community board. I came from Brooklyn Unidos. There was a meeting that day. I told him who I was and this officer. I went to CCRB and filed a complaint. And the officer resigned because he was a rookie. So he didn't want to face disciplinary action and resign. That's what you do. That's what you do. You don't burn Bushwick down because you have agenda with the A3. It works. The system works. So we got to stop that. I can show you I have proof. So it does work. So on Thursday, the 12th, I went to the Civil and Public Safety Committee. That Saturday, the 14th, Councilwoman Sandy Nurse had a Juneteenth. It was beautiful. Our honorees, I brought a copy of the agenda. Our honorees at that was Anita Haynes. She was one of the honorees. Kurt Bonds. Keith Norris. Pastor James. Pastor, where you at? James, right there. Felicia McCain. What is her name? Kalu? What's her name? Felicia McCullough. And Jason Diane Tracy. And then Mrs. Olivia, Adams Olivia. And those are the people that got award. And there was a young man telling us about history. What was June? What was it about? Juneteenth. You know, I got a little history too. I did my DNA.com. I have a joke. I got 2%, so I know. So it was really touching because he showed us a projection of how it used to be back in the day. And it was sad that people have to fight, but they fought right because it was something they wanted to do and they did. That was the day that the phrase, but they were really not free at that time. So it was touching and it was great. Also, as you guys know, me and Celeste went to at 10 o'clock to the town hall to testify. So she'll fill you in, and I'll fill you in on New York City Council Gov, the opening hearings. Me and Celeste went there. She's going to tell you what she said, and I'm going to tell you what I said because I know we all need to be on the same page. June 17th, Tuesday at 6:30, 383. We had the DOE commissioner there. I was there. Celeste was there. Then I went to the A3 precinct. There was a meeting. It was sad to see, and the reason why I left that meeting was because it was sad to see that we was at 484 Knickerbocker, which was the church, and we have a muster room in the A3 precinct after Barbara Smith, and she would have never did that meeting over there. She would have held it in the precinct. So I was a little not happy because that precinct reflects our leader. And I know there were issues in regards to people protest. They was under the impression that they were going to come, and they didn't. So obviously it worked out all right because we were in a church. So I had to calm down, right? I couldn't, And then the good thing about it is that this morning at 10 o'clock was the A3 precinct clergy. So I got everything I done all week. I got my prayers answered, and the priest took care of me. So they said I was all right. And today, the full board meeting. I think that is it.
All right, if there are any questions for Mr. Camacho, now is the time. Otherwise, we will move on. Questions going once, going twice. Anything on Zoom? Seeing none. All right, we will move on now to the next part of this agenda item, which would be the introduction of elected officials or representatives, name and contact information only. Name and contact info only. And then we're also going to include elected officials, agency representatives, community-based organizations, and businesses. This is your time to introduce yourself, name and contact info. Going once, going twice. All right. Oh, who's here? Yeah. Oh, yeah. Up. No, we need the mic for Zoom. Yeah. Thank you. Good to see you, Evelyn. Oh.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Okay. Hi, my name is Evelyn Cruz. I'm here representing Congresswoman Nidia Velazquez. Our office is located at 266 Broadway in Williamsburg, and our phone number is 718-599-3658. Thank you.
All right, I believe everybody else spoke earlier. I don't see anyone else here. I hear nothing, no hands on Zoom. We will now, and there are no agencies, no community-based organizations, and no businesses. Just want to establish that for the record. So we will now invite our 83rd Precinct Commanding Officer, Deputy Inspector David Poggioli.
Out tonight. Good evening, everyone. Thank you again for always inviting me here to the community board to address everybody. Couple of things we're going to start with, go through some of the recent events. Going to hit some crime figures, and then we'll speak block parties, and then we'll open it up to some questions. So, as highlighted on our social media outlets, last Wednesday, actually a week before, a week as of today, we attended the NYPD Department Medal Day ceremony. I'm not sure who saw that, but what it is, it's the annual event where we honor some individual heroic actions by individual officers in the department. And then on top of that, they select 10 units, right? Precincts, PSAs, transit districts, support units, investigative units, and they acknowledge, they select 10 precincts and they acknowledge some of the exemplary work that was done. And the 8-3 precinct was one of those 10 units selected out of this tremendous agency for the work that was done over the past year of 2024. So we received that unit citation and it's now hanging in the entranceway of our command. But the reason I highlight that here is because we always speak about a lot of the successes, right? A lot of the successes that we share as a community, and we speak crime reduction and things to that effect. And I think it's important to recognize, right, like what we speak about in this room or what we speak about at our community council or our clergy council meeting, right? It's not just relegated to this dialogue, but it's something that was recognized over the 12 months of 2024. So yeah, so those offices and this community was honored with a unit citation. So now we'll move on to some of the things that we've dealt with and handled since our last gathering, right? Memorial Day weekend, we had a town hall meeting here at 195 Linden with the Hope Gardens residents about some of the safety concerns in regards to some shooting incidents early in the year, an event that was chaired by our elected officials. We had that Bushwick Collective detail and then Puerto Rican Day weekend. As we move forward, what's next, right? Like the gentleman from Irving Square Park said, we have our family day coming up in the park there. And then we have our block party that we do out of Miss Haynes over at the precinct, right? End of school. So now we're going to kind of change some of our deployment and what we do, right? We speak about how we deploy for our school dismissals and the coverages that we do through the community at like 2:00 in the afternoon through 5:00 on the weekdays. And now we're going to take those offices, right? Some who are going to be dedicated to our summer youth camp. That's starting July 7th. And then the remainder of our youth coordination offices is now going to be redeployed to the parks, right? We're going to take them from those school dismissal posts and we'll move them over to the park deployment. Block parties. Block parties started as of this Saturday. July 14th, only a couple. And, unfortunately for those 2 blocks, obviously a lot of rain. So probably wasn't too much of an attended event, but we're into block parties now. And, something that we brought back with the advice of the community board was to chair that block party meeting, right? To bring in all the applicants and just put everybody on the same page of what the expectations are of the permit holder and how we expect the block to be secured, and that there's one sound permit dedicated to each block, right? So there's no corresponding DJs playing at the same time. And now we're into that. So what's our approach going to be? Like during the days as the event kicks off, you'll be visited by either our neighborhood coordination officers, our community affairs officers, and then they'll make contact with the permit holder, right? Very, very important that if you are the permit holder for the block party event, that you are present at the event and that you're present for the duration of the event. It just makes those lines of communication so much more direct when we can know who we're making contact with and then make contact with that person throughout the day. And then what we're going to do, we're going to circle back at the end of the day, right? Whether that block party permit ends at 6 p.m. or 8 p.m. or whatever the specific times are for that block, we're now going to go out and reconnect and just listen. If you need some resources for assistance, that's what we're there for. But we need that block to be open back up, traffic to be flowing again. Whatever was set up in the streets is now onto the sidewalk, and we're starting that return to normal conditions. So our crime, continually, we've been about that 20 to 30% decrease in overall index crime in the Bushwick community for the entire year. We sit right now at exactly 24.6% decrease, annual decrease in index crimes. We look at our 2-year number, we're actually a little better at about 27% on a 2-year number decrease, where 6 of 7 index crimes we're continuing our work on. And then something new, not new, but like just with continuing, like always studying the data, like what does it show us? Where are we currently in 2025? So we look at our 5-year number. Right, our 5-year number is taking into account where we stand today in June of 2025, and now bouncing it off of where we stood in June of 2020. And important to highlight June of 2020, right? Because where were we in 2020? We were really at the height of the COVID pandemic, right? Businesses were closed. Wasn't a lot of vehicles on the street, not a lot of pedestrians. Like we have to think if 5 years, not that long ago, but we really all remember where we were as a city at that point in time. And we contrast to where we were 2020, and we take that into our current where we are now, right? And we're at a 3% decline from where we were in 2020. So we're reaching those pre-pandemic levels, and we're actually at a lower level in crime here in Bushwick currently than where we were going back to 2020 with all those restrictions on us, right? And all those limitations on travel and things to that effect. So again, all of our successes are what? They're always collective successes, something I always make it a point to say in this room, because one, I genuinely believe it, right? I can't do my job. The officers, the men and women of the A3 can't go out and do their job every day without enlisting the help of the community. So what do we have to do better, right? I always have to bring out what I see as current crime trends, right? If we're at 25% of a decrease, I want to be at 30. If we're at 30, I want to be at 35. Like I'm never, ever satisfied with that status quo, always looking to improve on how we could do things better, or what am I seeing? What am I seeing to bring to the community that now what I need in turn is the people here to go back and bring it into the community, right? Another thing I always highlight, like I could bring it to 65 people, 70 people in a community board meeting. But if now those 70 people go out and now share that message individually into the community, we're multiplying that message. So what have we seen recently, very recently, like I'm talking about over the last 4 to 5 week period? We're seeing chain snatches off of female complainants up along, let's say, Jefferson Street, Evergreen, going into like Knickerbocker, like that quarter of Bushwick, right? So like that north part of the command, pretty much, the whole way up from, we're about 4 or 5 incidents, Jefferson, Evergreen, along that area. And what do we see? We see females, all females that are being targeted, walking along a residential street, starting to be tracked by an individual, right? And then that individual run up, snatch the chain off the female's neck, and then go onto what? An awaiting moped. And then that moped takes off and flees into parts unknown. So how do we deal with that, right? It's bringing awareness to what we are. Always starts with what? 2 occupants upon a moped, right? That's the first thing that should maybe just trigger that little additional sense of awareness. I get it. We see those mopeds consistently up and down our streets. Right, it's something that's brought here to the forefront as complaints in the community council, the community board, and we speak about what we do with our suppression efforts. Confiscations. Over the past month, we've taken 60 off the street in Bushwick. The year alone, we've confiscated 400 of those illegally two-wheel devices in the community. But the efforts have to continue. No, you could, but listen, we're not there yet, right? If I'm talking about this crime condition, then what does 400 really mean in all transparency? It means we have to work harder, right? We have to work harder if incidents like this are still occurring. So there's that street suppression, the enforcement part of it. And we'll continue our enforcement. The guys again today made a nice job on getting an individual on a stolen moped. So, we'll continue that work. Investigatively, what do we see investigatively into these incidents? We see similarities in some of the mopeds being used. It's like a royal blue moped, right? One thing, 2 occupants upon that moped. And then additionally to that, the rear shock of this moped is spray painted red. So some things that are identifiable, information that we could share, information that now I need people here to go back and share, right? And spread that message. We have that investigative part, and then there's the information sharing. There's that sharing the crime prevention end of this. Because if I can inform just one more person to just be slightly more oriented, right, as they're walking down the street, or is that moped coming, right, that awareness, because that's what they're looking to do. They're looking to perpetrate incidents on somebody, maybe their head's down on the phone and not really paying as much attention on the street. Like, so we have to take ourselves out of that mind frame, right? And be aware, like, all right, moped, 2 guys on it, blue, let me watch it go by, or, make our way so this doesn't happen. But again, it's all about information sharing. And as we learn more and we make identifications, we'll obviously share that here in these forums. We'll share that throughout social media, but things to please keep in contact about, and to follow up on our social media, because that's where a lot of our information is shared. Now, before Miss Davis tells me to do it, I'm just going to go out and do it. And she asked me last night to reiterate this Cop of the Month story. So I told it last night. I told it this morning, and I'm going to tell it again today. And it's a great story, right? That's why she wants it told. And it's somewhat different in what we traditionally acknowledge in our Cop of the Month stories. Meaning what? That we've historically throughout the year have highlighted like great gun arrests, great robbery arrests, maybe the closing of a pattern within the community that has helped decrease crime. And it's always been that crime fighting mechanism. This story goes a little different, right? And it's based off a wellness check. So what is a wellness check? A wellness check is you place a call to 911. Right? And you're concerned about the welfare of a friend of yours. Maybe you haven't talked to them in a couple of days. So you call 911 and you say, hey, would you mind going over to an address on Weirfield Street and just check in on this person? I usually talk to them every day. I haven't heard from them, and I'm a little concerned about them. So what does that do? That comes over 911. The officers respond to that address, and they go to make contact on Weirfield Street. They get to Weirfield Street, knock on the door, no answer. They make contact with a neighbor. Yeah, that person's really not known here, so on and so forth. So what happens? Officers at that time can make one of 2 decisions. They could say, well, listen, I was requested to go to Weirfield Street. I went to Weirfield Street. That person isn't here right now, or is not known to reside here. It must be an unfounded call. Maybe the person moved, and so on and so forth. But this particular officer, Officer Dawkins, obviously sensing the concern in that person who called 911, went in a little deeper, right? They looked into the incident a little bit further. They pulled up the department phone. They made contact with the 911 caller. They ascertained this person's name, this person's telephone number, and they said, hey, let me just enter this into our systems and see if any other addresses in the community, right, that they may reside at come up. So what does that yield? They get those results back and they see that there's an address on Central Avenue that this person is also known to reside at. So they now respond to this address on Central Avenue. They make contact. 2 roommates answer that door. And they ask, hey, is so-and-so here? We got a call about it. Someone's concerned. And the roommate's like, no, we haven't really seen her. Again, we're roommates. We're coming and going at different times. But, she seemed fine. All right, fair enough. You mind if we just come in and check the bedroom? Yeah, all right, fine. Come right in. They make their way into the apartment. They make it to the bedroom door now. It's closed. They push their way into the door. And what do they see? They see this poor woman hanging from the ceiling right at that moment. So they rush in, they lift her up, right? They relieve that pressure from off her neck. They drop her down on the bed. They're able to revive her. The ambulance that was over on Weirfield Street accompanied them to Central Avenue. So EMS is already on scene. They're able to take her out, put her into the back of the ambulance, bring her to a local hospital, and she survives. And it's all and that's why I tell that story, because, right, it's not about it's always about what we do, right? And we read off crime statistics and things to that effect, right? That's very always important. But as police officers and as the men and women of the 8th Precinct, our responsibilities vary, right? And diversify on what we're responsible to deal with and respond to on a day in and day out basis. And this one officer, he fulfilled his responsibilities on Weirfield Street. I'll be very honest with you, right? But there was that, right, that hair on the back of his neck that said something may not be right here, and took it a step further. And if he doesn't look into that additional address, if he doesn't engage those roommates in conversation, if he doesn't make his way through that bedroom door, there's a completely different outcome to this story. And that's why we acknowledged Officer Dawkins last night at the community council meeting. See, she's happy. All right, I'll open it up to any questions now. Thank you.
Hello, good evening, everyone. Felix Ceballos, CB4. Hello, Inspector. My question is, how the 83 precinct, what they do for get that important number down when we're talking about crime? What the 83rd precinct do? And also, what you expect from the community to support those numbers? Because when we're talking about 20, 30, that means a lot. In what way we can support to increase those numbers going down? Thank you.
Thank you for the question. So on the first part about our approach, and obviously it starts with me, like every report that's generated, any crime that occurs, it has to get triaged accordingly, right? Like the report has to be reviewed, details have to be understood. If there's things investigatively, property that's removed, that traceable, like you can't just pass the buck on any single incident. Anything that comes across the deck has to be looked at. Why? Because it builds the start to pattern identification, right? We see that first moped hit and we pull video and we see what the identifiable features, and then we take it to that second hit, and now I could come in front of everybody and speak in detail about what we're seeing, right? Like going back to what we spoke about earlier with the 2 people on this. So the details matter. 100%. The details matter. You can't just be like, oh, this is just a package theft and flip to the next one, because you're doing a disservice now to the next person that reports that package theft, right? If your car gets broken into or your car gets stolen, right? Like, not only do we have responsibility to you to see that incident through, but we have a responsibility to the next person, because if we could deter that next incident from happening by really seeing through that first incident, that's the way you drive down crime, right? You pay attention to every incident that gets generated. And in regards to the community and corporation, like, we're already doing it. That's why the message is what it is. That's why we're at 25%, because I know it's getting done, because I know the community is going out there and sharing these messages. And that's why I started off today with the story about the unit citation, because that needed to be shared with the community as well. Right, that's a collective award. The A3 precinct is not just a building on 480 Knickerbocker, but it's the confines of the command from Broadway to Cypress, from the cemetery to Flushing. And thank you for that question.
Hi, Inspector. Christian Celeste Tate, First Vice Chair. Thank you for coming. First, I want to just appreciate the way that when you come to this board and you share improvements in these crime statistics, you're the first to say that that's not PD alone, right? That's this community working together. And I think it goes back to what Mr. Camacho said about us all being in the same boat. I believe that really deeply, and I appreciate you kind of furthering that message. And so with that spirit, I want to ask if there's anything more that you can share about what went down on Mood Ring. And I ask for two reasons. The first is that I know the videos that were posted don't share the whole story. And also they were really hard to watch, right? And I know a few folks were hurt in the incidences, and so want to give you a chance to just sort of speak to anything that you can about what went down that night.
Yeah.
And the other reason I ask is because we have a lot of conversation as a board about the increasing density of these big venues. And so as that density increases and the venues get bigger, we're going to have more nights where we have 150 noise complaints, unfortunately. And I think we need to work all collectively to make sure that even when we have those nights, we don't have news stories the next morning, right? And I know that, again, that's not accusatory. I know you agree with that. So again, appreciate you coming and just hope you can speak to that.
Yep. So, yeah, 150 noise complaints. And to be honest with you, Christian, even in preparing for my assignment as the commanding officer of this precinct, when I had an interview in front of the community as a whole, right, and myself and the other candidate that was chosen to interview, like, that's the first thing you look at. It's just the gravity of the amount of 311 calls that are in this community, on top of the 911 calls, right? Like, each call has a responsibility to be answered efficiently and effectively. And the Puerto Rican Day Parade, the parade itself was labor intensive. The after events of the parade were labor intensive. Like, the group that, and the noise condition and some of the things that we saw at Mood Ring were not different or foreign to a litany of other groups that we encountered, right? You got to remember, as you're breaking down a very heavily traversed parade route, and somebody brought it up yesterday at the community council meeting, is the sidewalk conditions. And from what I saw with going out this year is, like, what did we have for the first time this year? Is that we had barriers that lined the entire parade route, something that the community pushed very, very heavily for, because what happened in years prior, right? The sidewalks themselves made their way into the parade route. So we put those, we had those barriers. The department supported us and gave us something like 1,600 barriers. And what did that do now? That made those sidewalks that much more congested. That made those pedestrians, those parade spectators that were out on those streets that sometimes maybe make their way into the parade route and disperse as the parade disperses itself, were now pushed back into the side streets, right? Stanhope Street, Stockholm, DeKalb, Harmon, very, very congested blocks, right? And now even as you go past that, like, we saw groups and gatherings in prior locations that we didn't see, right? We have Wilson Avenue frozen, right? We have Irving Avenue frozen, because what has to happen, right? For there to be a parade on Knickerbocker, you have to also prevent eastbound and westbound traffic from those corresponding avenues. So what did that do? That created another gathering over on Irving Avenue that historically we didn't see before. And we dealt with group after group after group professionally, the way we're expected to. And then there was that last 311 call that came over for 1260 Myrtle Avenue. And if we're going to speak through the incident, like we're going to do it factually, right? Because that's always what we do. We'll do it transparently, but we're going to do it factually as well. And the initial officers that were deployed to that location, just so everybody understands, right? In putting together the PD portion of this detail, there's a lot of different things that go into play in regards to what personnel is deployed to. There is personnel deployed to foot posts along the parade route. There is personnel assigned to traffic freeze posts, right? Because at 2 o'clock before that parade goes into effect, you now have to close down all those corresponding streets to prevent vehicular traffic from accessing the parade route. And then you have mobile responses, right? And what's their primary responsibilities? For just what I spoke about, to go from group to group, and the parade's over, and the day is winding down, and now the streets need to be clear, the sidewalks need to be clear. It's no longer Sunday. We're moving into Monday morning. People are going to work. People are going to school. And there's a responsibility to restore the community to the conditions prior to the parade. So going back to Myrtle Avenue, those mobile responses that I just identified what their role was out there came across the group. They responded to that 311 call at 1260 Myrtle Avenue. They parked their van on the opposite side of the street. They did have those turret lights deployed. They saw the size of the crowd, and they said it is not safe nor tactical for just 2 officers to go in to disperse that crowd. They requested some additional units. The officers exited their vehicles, and what do they do first? And, very evident because, like you said, it's out there. They don't start at the crowd. They walk to the entrance of the establishment. Now, we had a call earlier today, just again, in transparency, with the Office of Nightlife and with the premise representative, the premise owner of the establishment himself. I'm not going to speak for the premise owner, right? For his portion, with his security, that's that person's story to tell as a business owner in Bushwick. But he was very transparent as well about what he offered into that conversation. But again, that's his story to tell. Taking into account with that initial response, that initial reception by the establishment, right? Not being a solution, but again, a hindrance. We now have to move along a crowd. And again, in telling these stories, like, we're also looking past, like, all right, we all know that there was arrest affected. And there was also an arrest affected for what? For assault on a police officer. Like an officer was punched in the face in front of that bar. I feel like sometimes we're looking past that as well. And for as much as we share our successes, like that's something we all should have a problem with because of that story I just told about Officer Dawkins, right? And how he went above and beyond. Like those same officers are entitled to have that same respect from the community. And why should that person have to come to work and get punched in the face? So yes, like the premise, and again, I know the board's going to have follow-up. I know Celeste spoke to the Office of Nightlife. And again, when that story wants to be told from that premise owner and tell his part of the story to all this, I hope everybody's still around to listen to that part as well. But yeah, so then an officer gets punched in the face. And yeah, it does create a disorderly environment. But other things we need to take into account, and not even take a look at facts about what happened. There was no tasers deployed. There was no batons used. Nobody was hit with OC spray. And managing, dispersing a crowd that was outside of a bar, listen, we get it. We know everybody's been cocktailing, things like that. We're 12 hours into it. But it was over, like the day was over, and it was time to go home. And now for the officers to get there and to immediately be received with one of them being struck in the face, that's not acceptable. And I'll never stand in front of here and say it is, because then I'm not doing my job. But so what do we do now? Now we have a job to do, right? There's a crowd to disperse. And just so you know, Christian, like I was there. Myself personally, it's not like I'm telling this as a third-party account, like this is a first-party account. We had a lot of resources there, right? Because after those now initial calls, now there's an officer struck, and now what is it? Officer needs assistance, so people are coming. but there's still a responsibility on my end to control the resources that they're coming in, right? I can't have officers who have just been working for 12 to 13 hours blindly trying to move a crowd left and right, right? Because they just go into muscle memory and they're just trying to move. So you got to stop. You got to call that timeout, and you split those officers in half and you tell them, listen, you walk this crowd off this point on Myrtle Avenue. You stop this part here. You walk that crowd that way off Myrtle Avenue. We have to return the street, right? Imagine how many police vehicles responded to the front of that bar. Vehicular traffic was now shut down. Buses stopped, right? There's people riding those buses who are going home or heading to work that were now stuck on Myrtle Avenue because of this street level condition to this response to this 311 call. Right? Think about all the after effects that happen after like that initial, it's 12:30 at night, that initial call gets there. We have to do a better job of managing some of these street level conditions after events in this community, because people shouldn't walk away. And it's not just this location. Listen, there was other locations throughout the community, and I'm only saying things that everybody else just saw. A lot of bottles on the street, right? Mr. Camacho, how much litter was out there on Flushing Avenue? Like, that's not okay either. Like, it's one thing to party and to celebrate, but again, where's the responsibility to return conditions back to the way they were pre-parade? That wasn't done. That wasn't done. People shouldn't have to walk out of their doors and be stepping over 30 Don Julio bottles. They really shouldn't. It's not right. It's not right. And that's why that 155 call number is so important, because it shows you the approach time and time and time again throughout the day. And when you're able to dialogue in a manner like this, right? Because that's always the approach. You know, I just need you to move on, and you pick it up and that's it. We're moving on here. But that wasn't the way it was received at that particular location. And that's why I identified that we're always kind of looking after that officer being struck in the face. Like, if we're going to tell the story of the response, that has to be incorporated into the fact pattern, or we're doing the whole narrative a disservice, right? Like, we're all doing the narrative a disservice. So what do we do now coming out of there? We engage the premise owner today, right? On a Teams call with Office of Nightlife. We spoke to him and we let him know that they're a part of this community and we're here to support them, right? As the precinct, as the 83rd precinct, it's our job to support residential, commercial partners in this community. We enlisted, like, listen, this is our special operations contact information. This is our community affairs contact information. If there's an event plan, or if there's an event that's going on that you see as you're managing it is getting beyond the control of the scope of the persons you have employed, like, reach out, let us know, let us help you get ahead of it a little bit sooner, so it's not that last 311 call that turns into what it turned into at 12:30 Monday morning, the day after the Puerto Rican Day.
Inspector, we have some time. Oh, man. We have some, wait, let me just. At the
Excuse me,
parliamentary
Inspector General,
Yeah.
time check, time is moving on. And please excuse me, everyone, but I think we should move on. We have committee reports to do. Can you hear me now? Yeah, I'm sorry at the time, but.
You want this one?
It's all right. Please excuse me, no disrespect. The time is getting rather late. We do appreciate all that you have contributed in the questions that you've answered. We have a rather long agenda and it's already 8:15. So I would suggest that anyone wants to have further questions to the 83rd, which I had someone, please contact the 83rd directly. I'm sure they'll be able to answer your questions. So thank you so very, very much.
Nope.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Parliamentarian. That mic goes back up to the front. Yeah. All right. So that concludes the chairperson's report. We will move on now to my report. That's the district. That's the district manager's report. I had about 10 points that I wanted to make. I'm going to distill that down to two as a gift to everyone this evening. So my first paragraph is good evening, everyone. I want to acknowledge some of these observances that happened in June, such as Father's Day. Happy Father's Day to all that observe. This month is also Alzheimer's Brain Awareness Month, Caribbean American Heritage Month, Men's Mental Health Awareness Month, and Pride Month. It is in difficult times that our traditions and celebrations help us come together and remind us that we are not alone. And so I will say that the two items that I really want to focus on, Mr. Camacho mentioned one of them earlier, which is the City Council had a Governmental Operations Committee hearing, an oversight hearing on Monday for community boards. There were several items, legislative items that were proposed. I was told before this meeting that only one, it seems, is going forward. So it is called aging, meaning that it will come to a vote before the end of this month. I want to give folks an example on the types of bills that will impact the community boards. There was one requiring that the borough presidents provide equal employment opportunity trainings to board members. So it would be including anti-sexual harassment and anti-discrimination trainings. There's also a bill that was proposed for board district managers to term for 4 years with the possibility of reappointment and the power of the borough president to remove them at will. There was another bill that requires that the borough presidents provide training on legislative processes and rules of parliamentary procedure, and that they make those trainings available to precinct community councils. And then there were also a legislative item that would require the boards to publish their bylaws. One for the borough presidents to establish and maintain an office to assist the community boards. Another one to require the community boards to email a monthly newsletter and video conference their meetings. And the last two, one that would establish an office within the Department of Citywide Administrative Services to assist the boards with finding office and meeting space. That is the one that will be moving forward, it seems. And then the last one was requiring that the borough president to provide training for newly appointed community board members who have not previously served, and that they would change the appointment date from April 1st to August 15th. And required that an individual attend at least one meeting prior to their appointment. So we provided detailed testimony. I would also like to bring this back up later in the meeting because I wanted to keep us moving now. My only other item in my report is also equally as important. If folks don't know, there are two ongoing charter revision commissions, meaning that there are folks seeking to change the city's charter, and this will impact all of us. In particular, the Mayor's Charter Revision Commission is seeking to change land use items. So the Uniform Land Use Review Procedure, board members will know this is the part that the board plays a role in. 60 days we have to review any zoning application changes within Bushwick. Under what's being proposed now, there may be a ballot item in the future where they take away some of the board's ability to provide feedback. Also, there may be an item that takes away member deference. For folks that don't know what that means, right now, the city council is the last stop. The city council member, when they listen to their community, is putting the community's position forward. If the council members no longer have deference, it changes, there's more mayoral control. It would really depend on that community's relationship with their mayor, depending on how these applications would be heard. So we've heard from our council members about this. We've heard from council planning and land use about this. The final hearing is going to be this coming Monday, June 23rd. It is in Staten Island. The Brooklyn hearing is already passed. There will be one more hearing in July, but we've been told that it's going to be late by that time because they're going to be preparing language for these initiatives. If folks have strong feelings about this, about the community's role in housing development in this community, I strongly encourage you to make your voice heard, and we will be sending out additional information via email for guidance. And that's my report.
I myself testified. I don't know if address what she indicated, but I myself testified in regards to intro 1065 term limiting district managers. I was really appalled that an elected official would want to put that there. Every community is different in its own way. And there's our rules and regs, and there's our bylaws, and there's the city charter. The city charter requires that the board hires the district manager works for the board. Doesn't work for anyone else. We're a city agency. They work and appointed by the board. So to take away that and term, because now if we have a new borough president and he feels that we have to evaluate her, or he feels that he don't work with her, she don't, guess what? He's gonna get rid of her. Because it's on there. He's putting that he has the power to remove the district manager at will. So what does that mean? So whoever's on there is gonna remove our district Celeste de Leon for no apparent reason whatsoever. How are we giving people those powers to make these rules and regs? And those are elected officials. So I addressed that concern. There is a place that got to go and there is procedure. He indicated that the bylaws are, we have our bylaws. Their philosophy, some of these council persons are because they're in Manhattan and it's totally different. You know how hard it was for us to get board members on this community board? Manhattan has a waiting list. We don't. So it tells you something. It tells you each community is different in its own way. And I myself had to go out there and start publicizing for people to get on this board that we're looking. And thank God the borough president got some people and we were happy and we got enough people to fulfill these slots. Because people actually think this is a job. It is a job. So I went and I testified and said, let's testify on other things. And yes, we do everything that's on here, we do. We do put it on there. I took a course, it took me a whole day. One course. I had to take all different steps of courses in order. It's not easy. You have to go to OMB. OMB, it's too many people telling us what to do and nobody's doing anything. And then they're making laws, these elected officials that don't have a clue on what's going on. Because they got mad at the district manager and they didn't work with them. So that got nothing to do with us. That has to do with the community board and the managers and the executive board. What that got to do with us? So I testified and told them that's unacceptable. I guess they got a little upset. We do that. And I also told them that, yes, you're right. You know that I'm on the borough boards. And each chair on the borough board has to come to the meeting. So does council. They have to be there. So we don't have quorum 2 or 3 times because your people wasn't there and they get paid. So his philosophy was, oh well, I'm right around the corner, so mine's always come. Ha ha ha, that's good.
Mr. Camacho, if I may, I'll add one thing, and this is something that I think is really important because folks don't realize outside of Bushwick, not every community board has the same relationship with their elected officials. Not all communities work together. And it was truly informative for me to hear from council members that clearly do not understand what community boards do. We were an hour and 45 minutes into the hearing and multiple members asked the borough presidents questions that should have been directed to the community board. The borough presidents continued to say that they were not able to answer because that is the community board's role. And so again, I want to make sure folks are aware that this is happening. There's a lot going on, especially this time of year, especially on a larger level. And we will continue to do our part in responding to these things. I'm a firm believer in making sure that people understand how things work and they can make informed and engaged decisions. And I think that there is some, Councilmember Ressler reached out in advance of this hearing. We were able to speak prior to it. And my hope is that there's still willingness to accept that feedback as we move forward and these bills potentially move or don't move. The bill Mr. Camacho referenced only has one sponsor. It is the one council member who introduced it from Queens. As of right now, we do not believe that it's going anywhere. This is the one for terms for district managers with the possibility of renewal. There were many people who spoke against it, including new district managers. And I think it's very clear that there's opposition and there isn't much support within the council right now for this. So I want to keep us moving. Next on our agenda item, well, first I have to ask for public record. Any questions going once? Any questions going twice? Nothing on Zoom. All right, we will move on to our committee reports and we're starting in alphabetical order this evening with our Civic Public Safety, Health Human Service, Annette Spellin.
Good evening. Our committee met on June 12th, and it was a long meeting. Because our time is so short, I'm going to limit the information to the most important parts of the meeting. We had 2 requests for street co-namings. The first is for Bushwick Avenue and Lafayette Street. for Purcell Chance. His daughter came and made a presentation to us requesting that we co-name that street there. And Mr. Purnell Chance was a very active member, not only in this community, but up in Harlem. And we got a number of support from Sonia Velasquez, Pepe Gray, and there were a number of certificates of appreciation and proclamations and citations that he received from organizations such as Wyckoff Heights Medical Center, the Boys and Girls Club, Mother Hale House in Harlem, Lutheran Family Health Centers, Club Scouts, Samaritan Village, AIDS Center, and many, many others. He did a lot for this community. He even mentored our chair, try to keep him out of trouble. And you see what happened, right? The other request is kind of personal to a lot of us here. The request from Barbara Smith's daughter to co-name Decatur Street and Wilson Avenue after Barbara Smith. For those of you who didn't know Barbara, Barbara loved this community. She gave over 35 years. Barbara was the one who built our relationship with the police department. The reason that we have the relationship that we have with NYPD is because Barbara took that extra step and went one further to make sure that the police in this community got along, that you were able to go to Barbara or go to the commanding officer about any issue that you have with the police department. But Barbara went even further than that. A lot of people don't know that we have shelters here in the community. And most of the people that are in these shelters are families. Barbara made it her business to get the community involved in trying to help these families. And she did things like set up bowling days with Kurt Barnes so that the kids could learn how to bowl or spend a day in a bowling alley. She also did the skating rink. When Barbara was homesick, we were able to call Barbara. Elvina would call Barbara, talk to her about certain things. I would call Barbara, talk to her about certain things. And all Barbara wanted to do was make sure Bushwick was taken care of. So tonight, in our recommendations, my committee is asking that this community board approve a letter of support for both of these people because they gave everything for this community. The third thing that we had to deal with had to do with the introduction of 1096, the amendment to Administrative Code 12-126. This code will protect the vested health insurance coverage for New York City public service retirees. We had a spokesman earlier who talked about this. Mr. Camacho mentioned that he's retired. It affects him. I'm retired from the city. It affects me. And it's very important that those who are retired, particularly our elderly and their families, continue to have the insurance coverage that they got employed with. One of the things that I found, my doctor retired, and I was looking around for a new doctor. And the first thing they asked me was what kind of coverage I had. And when I told them I was retired from the city of New York, they told me if I came to them with the Medicare Advantage program, forget it. Most doctors will not accept it. We have to have this approved. is something that affects those who are retired and family members of those who are retired. And I'm going to cut it short. I just need you to vote to support all three of these issues. I'll turn it over to the next speaker.
Thank you, Nat. The next report is district office. Mr. Camacho, may I summarize? So I'll just keep it brief. The district office committee is responsible for reviewing board member attendance. 7 board members were flagged for absences. All have received letters via certified mail and email, and they are responsible for indicating their intentions. There were also updates on the board's budget and operations, how we document remote board participation, community board recruitment, and other items. There were no recommendations. And so I will, and one final note that I'll say, there was an audit that started last summer. There was mail that indicated that the audit was being terminated and the board would no longer have to go through that process. That concludes this report. Next, is it economic development? I can't see this one. Economic development, housing and land use. Strongly encourage bullet points.
Bullet points you shall get. Hi, everybody. And Guiney, Housing and Land Use Committee. We met on the 29th. We did not have to vote on anything, so there will be no voting here. So I'll keep it very quick. We got a presentation from Gabrielle Gonzalez, who is at Clean and Healthy, that initiative, and they're advocating something called the Lead Paint Right to Know Act. This is a state level thing. The whole idea is if you buy a house or an apartment, you'd like to know, is there lead paint in it? So it's more of an informational situation than you have to get this remediated. But I think the idea is, at least, if you're buying a place and you have little kids, you probably are not going to look seriously at a place that has a lot of lead paint, and you'd look for a different place. So it's at the state level. We had a lot of questions about like the nitty gritty, but we were very supportive of it. But we just need the language from Gabrielle specifically that I will present to you in the fall so that we can vote to support that. I mean, nobody likes lead paint. So I think we're probably in favor of sharing that information. Then the other thing, we had one no-show. It's an as-of-right housing development project on 343 Hemorrhoid, so they didn't have to come by, though we always do encourage people to come by. And then we had a second presentation from Eric Palatnik, who's the land use attorney for the owners of the gas station at Myrtle and Bushwick Avenue, which I think everyone's familiar with. They would like to change it. Originally, they were talking into residential. They were talking about an 8 to 10 story building. Now they're going higher, in part response because we said we want more affordability. So it's not a fully fleshed out proposal. He said he's willing to keep coming back and forth. So we will be picking up this discussion with that developer again. But again, at the Housing and Land Use Committee, when people come to us and they want a zoning change, one of our biggest goals is to drive the best bargain we can for the Bushwick community, and affordable housing and maximization of that is part of it. Let me just finish and then I'm happy to answer a question. And then finally, on the city charter reform that Mr. Camacho mentioned, there is a last chance hearing on Monday. I plan to submit testimony as myself, not on behalf of the community board, because I think that's an important thing to flag. But what I would like to convey to them is the incredible importance of community input in land use decisions. Having, weekly meetings for 6 straight years on the Bushwick Community Plan, I have very strong feelings about this. And I really, really think that the communities have to be involved in land use decisions. So I will be making individual, not CB4 stuff. And then finally, July 21st, we're going to have a sort of like housing, hey, what's going on with projects that are in the community that are sort of in line, and more detail is still very much in process. And we'll be hearing more about that from the district office, in part because we're not going to have our final Housing and Land Use Committee meeting this month because there's nothing on the agenda. Thank you. Question? Sorry, you had a question? Yeah.
We need you to use the microphone because we can't hear you on
Zoom. And
Zoom.
it's the Zoom folks can't hear it. Yeah.
Hi. Hi, my name is Francine Best. Right away in Bushwick, question. The gas station there in Myrtle Bushwick, I live around that area.
Yeah, it's the BP.
Right, right. Okay, so they're tearing that down?
Well, so according to the guy, the leases for these things turn over every 20, 25 years. The lease is up in a year or two, so it wouldn't be immediate, but what he said is we'd like to start the process now and build housing here instead of having a gas station.
Oh, okay, that's great. Thank
Okay.
you, thank you.
Okay.
Because
Any
we have a
other?
lot of traffic over there. Thank you.
Anybody else or all set? Sure.
I have a quick question.
Just pop up to here, yeah.
Is there any environmental impact to building on top of what used to be a gas station?
Yes, indeed, there is. There would be massive, massive amount of remediation, the tanks. They honestly have to scoop out a lot of that. I mean, I'm not a specialist in that, but they have to physically remove the dirt and I don't know, send it to who knows where. But yes, it is. There's massive, massive, massive environmental things. And I think one of the reasons they would like to build a larger project is because there's so much remediation that needs to happen. So they probably wouldn't be worth their while to build a 4-story building there. They'd want to, go 8 or 9 or something. So anyway, I'm just passing on what he said. This is not me.
And this meeting is for now. It's only for board members. Okay, so it's we allow you the people to speak, but just a reminder, it's only for board members because it was the top page is only for the outside. So any question that needs to be answered would be from the community because they're voting on it.
And just luckily there's nothing to vote on here, but the last Tuesday of every month is the Housing and Land Use Committee. And just with all the committees, all the nitty gritty, the back and forth, the questions, most of that happens at the committee level. So you're all welcome and encouraged to join. Thank you.
Thank you, Anne. And just a point of order, there is one item to vote on. The Clean and Healthy Lead Paint Right to Know Act there was a recommendation from the committee. We'll cover that during recommendations. But next we have permits and licenses. Christine.
Good evening, everyone. I will try to make this quick. So we had the Permits and Licensing Committee met on June 10th last week. We had 2 new liquor licenses. One was Cafeteria Brooklyn at 1153 Broadway at Kosciuszko Street. This is a Spanish-American breakfast lunch spot that is currently only open till 4 p.m. and they're just looking to extend, hopefully with a new liquor license. Their hours were uncontroversial. The only thing that we would be waiting for is information from the SLA on whether they're very close to a school. So just to find out if that triggers the 200-foot law. The other application was a sound bar and restaurant, which is 1541 Myrtle between Linden and Grove. Also new liquor, wine, beer, and cider. Can you hear me? Is there more stuff? Okay, thank you. We'll see if we can read these later. Okay. Right. So the second application is Soundbar, and the new owner is sort of doing like an internship with the current bar that's in place called Abby's Bar. There's a kind of contingency in place if they don't get the liquor license not to purchase this, not to take over this location. They were missing quite a bit of documentation. It sounds like they submitted quite a lot of it about DJs and a certificate of occupancy, a floor plan, that sort of thing. The one thing they promised us but did not submit were amended stipulations or signed stipulations that agreed to the hours that the community board recommends, which again is Sunday through Thursday until midnight, and then Friday and Saturday until 2 a.m. Instead, they were looking for 4 a.m. 7 nights a week. So they initially said they would agree to our stipulations, but at the same time submit the application directly to the SLA. I wasn't exactly sure how that was going to work, but it sounds like they didn't actually submit the stipulations. Next, we had 3 expansion onto municipal property licenses. So this is where restaurants and bars have either a sidewalk cafe or a roadway cafe, which is, in the street in the kind of parking lane. The transportation committee of the community board already looks at the structures that are in place. So the permits and licensing is just about, whether they can also serve alcohol in these locations. So the three applicants that came before us were all fairly non-controversial. One is No One at 436 Jefferson Street between Wyckoff and St. Nicholas. One is Ops at 346 Himrod Street between Wyckoff and Irving. And one was Birdie's at 1215 Myrtle Avenue at the intersection of Myrtle and Charles Place. That's right near Willoughby under the train. That one was just quite large. It had two 40-foot structures, but all of them were fairly non-controversial. And then we had one more updated application for 233 Star, which is Star Karaoke. They had just initially presented themselves, submitted an application as a restaurant, and the SLA advised them to revise it to a bar tavern. And then finally, we had a cannabis retail applicant called Altitude Club at 1302 Myrtle between Central and Wilson. This applicant was actually a little bit controversial because they had some, I think they were actually shut down by the police department. There's a little bit of confusion about their location, if it was too close to a church, I believe. And as well, they just seemed to be a little bit confused about the process. And so ultimately the committee voted not in favor of that particular applicant. Let me see if there's anything else here. Everyone else submitted their amended documents, so we should all be good with that, with the one exception of the 4 a.m. business. And then after that, we also discussed our good neighbor policy. And just a couple of bullet points from that. I won't spend too much time on it. But it was basically just firming up the language of this good neighbor policy, which we provide to applicants just to give them a sense of what they should expect when coming before the committee and what our expectations are of them when they're working in the community. So some of our language just got a little bit firmer about requiring them to post job postings, for example, on the Bushwick jobs board. Requiring them to conduct outreach to local residents. Fun fact, I attended CB1's SLA, the equivalent, our homologue in CB1's committee, and they actually require new applicants to go all of the properties that touch the location. They're required to go and actually get signatures from those businesses or residents, whatever they may be. A little bit of a different procedure there compared to us. And then we also requested that they attend, are actually not requested, required that they attend in person our committee meetings, which just shows a different level of kind of like respect. And there's a lot more engagement that's possible when it's in person as opposed to on Zoom. And then we suggested strongly that they come to our full board meetings. And then there's just some additional information about sort of expectations of the businesses in the neighborhood. I think that is pretty much it. And then finally, just one last note. We had a pretty good conversation at the beginning of it's not the first time, but I'm sure it'll continue to happen, but sort of like, what is our role at the community board, given that the SLA makes the final call and sort of we're an advisory board, and what can we do about this without just rubber stamping, the applicants that come through. So I think it's the beginning of a longer conversation, but I think it was the first time that we're usually really strapped for time. So this was one of the few times that we were able to start to talk about that kind of stuff. So that is it from permits and licensing.
All right. Shape Up Bushwick.
James Stewart, Chair of Shape Up Bushwick. Just really quick, I want to really commend the entire planning committee and staff for an outstanding Shape Up Bushwick event on June 6th. the weather was great. It was a little too hot. And so we have to remind ourselves that, we have to have some tents and stuff. And so I did hear that feedback with the weather, but really everybody in attendance was great with the vendors and tables, and the people who showed up really did so in a great way. And so it was a privilege to be able to serve the second year in Shape Up Bushwick.
Thank you, Reverend Stewart. And as a reminder, we have a box of shirts. So anyone who didn't get their shirt because they went really quick at the event, we have extra shirts to give out after today's meeting. Yeah, all right. So we will move on now. Recommendations. We're getting close, folks. So starting with civic public safety, religious and health human service, senior citizens. Do we need Ms. Spellin to reiterate the recommendations? Street co-naming Purnell Chance in favor. Street co-naming Barbara Smith in favor. Supporting, well, these are not, I'm just summarizing. I know we're eager. I'm just summarizing what you're voting on. And then finally for NYC retirees, making sure they have their Medicaid. So, yes. So the committee voted in favor, right, to support these? Is there, and we want to blanket all of those together? Is there a motion for a blanket for all of those? Alvina Davis, and then I heard Ann Guiney for a second for the blanket. All in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions? So moved. And then now a motion for the recommendation. Christian Celeste Tate makes the motion for the recommendation. And your motion was to approve. Thank you. Just want to be clear. Stephanie Anderson. Great, Stephanie. You're on it. Stephanie Anderson seconds. All in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions? So moved. Thank you, everyone, and congrats. All right, and now there's the Economic Development, Housing and Land Use, the Lead Paint Right to Know Act. There was a motion from the committee in favor to support, to provide a resolution. We just need language from Clean and Healthy. Is there a motion from the board on this recommendation? What's your motion? To accept the committee's recommendation, and that's balanced. Zachary Hendrickson seconds. All in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions? So moved. And then I believe permits and licenses. Do we need Christine to reiterate the recommendations?
I think only one, I think if I'm not mistaken, only one hasn't submit their, the thing that we normally fill out. And they had hours that wasn't like what we want. So I don't know how y'all want to deal with that.
So, yeah, we voted in favor of everything except for the one cannabis applicant. And then there was an additional one that didn't submit their documentation. So does that nuance make sense? I don't know what happens in that case.
So do we want to separate who didn't submit from the vote?
Yes.
Is it, okay.
I would say, I mean,
What
we
do you
could do
suggest?
this, we could do the cannabis separately, but I would just say we would want to support the recommendations of the committee except for that one. Right, the one that didn't submit.
Okay, so this sounds like an amendment to what was recommended.
Well, it's what we recommended, but I don't know what happened. does it kind of just like if we require their stipulations and
Right, so
documentation?
essentially they just didn't agree, they didn't
Correct.
follow up.
They didn't follow up, right?
Okay.
I mean, it's a little bit firmer than that. I think they followed up and said no.
Okay, was that what they did? Okay, so they followed up and said no. We can just indicate that they did not agree, but still make the recommendation with the stipulations anyways. If that's everybody. So do we have questions? Okay, all right, I thought this is only for board members? Okay, go ahead. Welcome.
So my question is,
She's new.
you told them you didn't want them to.
We need you to use the mic. Yeah, just so folks can hear.
You told them that you did not want them to be open till 4, and then they didn't get back and get that. So then why are we voting to say yes to that?
Good question.
Good question. I mean, personally, I would vote for an amendment to be not in favor, but
There we go. That's why
There
we
we
ask
go.
questions, folks. Thank you for paying attention to that. All right,
I know you're hungry. Thanks for.
go ahead. Yep, let's do it. We're doing great.
But just to be clear, even if it were a yes vote, it would be yes with the stipulation that they amend their hours to be in accordance with what the board has said is our preference. So the yes vote here is not a blanket yes, it's a yes if they change their hours to be what we want them to be.
Correct, because if not, then the liquor authority will give them whatever they
Correct.
want.
But they were pretty clear that had no intention of doing that, right?
All right, so I'm gonna put it out there. Is there a motion for a blanket vote for all of these recommendations? I see Ben Tucker with the motion for the blanket. Second by who? I need a name. Oh, Joanna, sorry. All right, all in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, one moment. I have one opposed. James Stewart. Anyone else opposed to the blanket vote? Joey. So wait, are you opposed to the blanket vote? Oh, hold on. Okay. But James, you are opposed to the blanket vote. Okay, just want to be sure. No one on Zoom is opposed to the blanket vote. So this motion carries. Now for the recommendation for the committees. These are all grouped together. Is there someone that's going to make the motion? Okay, motion made by Christian Celeste Tate, second by Felix Ceballos. All in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions? Oh, wait, I need to hear names because I don't, yeah. So opposed, Alvina Davis, James Stewart, yep.
I'm opposed too.
Okay, one moment, yep. Okay, Joanna Bennett. And Courtney Henley, good to see you, Courtney. All right, Raul Rubio. Okay, anyone else opposed? Ramika, okay. Okay, last call, opposed. I'm going to read everyone's name just to make sure I have. Elvina Davis, James Stewart, Joanna Bennett, Courtney Henley, Raul Rubio, Ramika Nichols Barnes. Any abstentions? Going once, going twice. This motion carries. Thank you, everyone. And I believe that concludes our recommendations for this evening. And we will move on now to our old business. Any old business going once, going twice? Oh, Christian?
Hey, I love a captive audience. Real quick, so in our last full board meeting, there was a bit of conversation about the newish NYPD policy of giving criminal summonses to bicyclists that are committing traffic violations. So just a quick plug that we're going to take that up in our Environmental Protection, Transportation, and Sanitation Committee on Monday. And a reminder that the committee is the place to really debate it. So if that's an issue that you feel strongly about, no matter what your feelings are, please come to the committee meeting on Monday at 6 p.m. so that we can have a robust conversation. We have a draft memo that we'll all review together and then bring to the full board after the recess. 1420.
1420.
All right, anyone else? Old business?
Yeah, it's,
Go ahead.
sorry, there was a question of where the meeting is. It's 1420 Bushwick, yeah?
Correct. All right, any other old business? Going once, going twice? New business, going once, going twice? Second roll call, board members, please be ready. In reverse alphabetical order, Linda Whitfield. Jerry Valentine. Ben Tucker. Yeah, we have a potluck here, don't leave. All right, yeah, Christian Tate. Savannah Ty. James Stewart. B. Spiderman. Annette Spellin. Milagro Sandoval. Josue Salazar. Eliseo Ruiz is excused. Raul Rubio. Pablo Rivera. Shrey Richardson. Laura Ronzado. Yerenson Ortiz Guzman. Cirilo Nunez. Zuma Novoa. Ramika Nichols Barnes. Alex Moreno. Freddie Madison. Christine Malden. Nancy Keith. Giovanni Justiniano. Luisa Jose. Tara Jones Thomas. Virgie Jones. Barbara Jackson. Tanisha Honeygan.
Present.
Deborah Hicks.
Good night.
Courtney Henley. Zachary Hendrickson. Elaine Hamilton.
Present.
Ann Guiney. Christopher Graham. Jason Gares. Alan Gamboa. Joanna Fuentes Singh. Freddie Fowler. Alvina Davis. Andrew Choi.
Present.
Got you, Andrew. And Felix Ceballos. Tevin Campbell. Robert Camacho, Joanna Bennett, Tiani Belliard, Stephanie Anderson, Isa Abni. Motion to adjourn. Alvina Davis, second by Raul Rubio. All in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions? So moved. 8:58. Happy summer recess, everyone.
Have a nice, safe, and wonderful summer. The office is not closed, so any problems, call office.
To go for that program.
And my GPA also is. That's good. Thank you. You're welcome. I'll give you number for one. You, street.